Chapter 875. Published at 20th of April, 2022, for 09 and 14 seconds p.m. Chapter 875. 875 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 875. 7 Spirit Academy's disciple examinations results. Sometime after Yuan and Li Jinsi left the disciple examination, they went to meet back up with Meishio and Chu Liuxiang. Sorry for the trouble, Yuan. Li Jinsi apologized to him as they journeyed. Don't even mention it. It's only natural that I help my friends out when they're in trouble, he said. Li Jinsi nodded, and she continued. By the way, I already knew this, but you're really strong in. I want to spar with you later when we get the chance. Sure. He nodded. Brother Yuan. Xiaohua suddenly approached him. What's the matter? Brother Yuan, you seem a little different than usual today. Are you feeling unwell? She asked him in a worried voice, as she was unaware of Yuan's situation with the divine paragon. Yes, I am feeling perfectly fine. Sometime later. Yuan. Jinsi. Are you two okay? What happened? The broadcast suddenly stopped, so we couldn't see what transpired after you cut off that man's hand. Chu Liuxiang immediately asked. Nothing much. I had a fight with them and managed to convince them to forgive and forget about everything that happened today. Yuan said with a smile. Really? Even though you severed that man's arm? It took some effort, but yes, they won't cause us any more trouble. That's good to hear. What are we going to do now? Meishio then asked. The examination is still ongoing, so we'll continue watching until everyone we know has passed. Do you think it's a good idea to let them join the sect after everything that has happened? Chu Liuxiang suddenly asked. It should be fine. After all, they don't know about our associations with each other. And even if they did, I doubt they would bother the others just because of our association. If you say so. Thus, Yuan and the others continued to spectate the examination. Even though the disciple examination was scheduled to last for a couple of days, it did not mean the participants had to wait until the very end to finish their examination. After getting enough points to pass from the third examination, the participants may immediately head to the final part of the examination and be interviewed by the 7 Spirit Academies. Of course, the interviewers were only of elder status. Therefore, after a couple more hours, Wang Ming and the others passed their examination with top results. Wang Ming had managed to receive offers from all 7 academies to become their disciple, which isn't surprising with his results that ranked top 10. In the end, Wang Ming chose the Formless Sword Academy that specializes in sword art. Wang Bingbing also received offers from all 7 academies, but she joined the Heavenly Academy. Shi Lang received offers from all 7 academies, and he joined the Lonely River Academy, as they had enough spear experts to pique his interest. Hong Xiuquan decided to join the Steel Lion Academy that specializes in tempering their physique and close combat, which is perfect for a gauntlet user. Wu Zhao had surprisingly decided to join the Golden Array Academy despite being a fan wielder, and having never heard of arrays until today, but he was interested in their concept, and wanted to see if he could become an array master. Shi Murong, who was an expert with daggers, decided to join the Heavenly Academy with Shi Lang. Last but not least, Min Li, who also ranked top 10 with everybody else, managed to receive an offer from the Heavenly Academy, which she gladly accepted. The Demon Sealing faction, and Min Li had managed to occupy 7 of the top 10 spots in the disciple examination. Of course, if Li Jinsi's results were counted, that would make it 8 out of 10 spots, and she would also take rank 1 without any contenders. The 7 Spirit Academies were, without doubt, extremely elevated to have so many top-scoring geniuses join their sects at once. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Thank you, Senior, for allowing me to join the Heavenly Academy. And thank you, Seniors, for offering me a spot in your sects. I am really grateful to you all. Min Li bowed to interviewers after joining the Heavenly Academy. Our Heavenly Academy is honored to have a genius such as yourself amongst our ranks. Please arrive at the Heavenly Academy within 30 days to start your training. That's all. Yes. Min Li left the place shortly after, and began making her way back to the hotel. Now that everyone has finished their examination, let's go meet them at the hotel like we'd planned. Yuan said to the ones with him. Okay. A few hours later, everyone arrived at the hotel. Congratulations, everyone, on passing the examination. I had faith that you would all pass. Yuan said. Honestly, the examination was much easier than I'd anticipated. Wang Ming said. Right? I worried for nothing. Shirlang laughed. By the way, did you hear? Something big happened during the examination. Apparently, someone picked a fight with the sect masters of the 7 spirit academies. I heard it on the way back here. Wang Bingbing suddenly said. Oh, I heard about that too. Which idiot would do such a thing? Wang Ming said. About that. Yuan chuckled. Everybody there turned to look at him with raised eyebrows. You see. Yuan proceeded to explain his experience with everyone, leaving them speechless. Unbelievable. How dare they try to kill Li Jinxi over something so stupid? Do you think it's too late to leave the sect? Wang Ming expressed his anger afterward. Why would you do that? Although they may have overreacted, Li Jinxi isn't completely innocent either. Just forget about it and go to the sect. They may not be perfect, but you'll be able to obtain a lot of experience there. Yuan shook his head. By the way, as a result of this experience, Li Jinxi will be following me to the next realm. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Unlike the rest of us, she has the strength and talent to follow you. Good luck up there, all of you. Shirlang said. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 876. Published at 20th of April, 2022, for 09:13 p.m. Chapter 876. 876 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 876. Because of you, when are you guys planning on leaving? We have a month before we must report to our new sections. Wang Bingbing asked them. We'll most likely leave before then. Yuan said. After talking for some time, Mei Xiao and the others logged off for dinner. Yuan, can I borrow you for a bit? It won't be long. Min Li suddenly approached him. Sure. Follow me. Min Li then brought Yuan to the balcony. What's up? Yuan decided to start the conversation when Min Li remained silent for many moments. I just wanted to thank you before going to the sect. I have decided to leave for the sect tonight. Min Li said with a slight smile on her face. Already? You have 30 days, right? Yuan raised his eyebrows. Yes, but I do not want to continue bothering you. Min Li's smile became bittersweet. Because of you, I acquired the courage to deny the Min family. Because of you, I have managed to break free from the Min family. Because of you, I have achieved my lifelong dream of leaving the lower heavens. Because of you, I can finally walk my cultivation path the way I want. I really cannot thank you enough. It's a debt that I will never be able to repay. Yuan smiled and said, You don't need to repay me. You're my friend, and it's only natural for friends to help each other out. I know I told you this before too. You're right. Sorry I even brought it up. Min Li turned to look at the bright moon, and after a moment of silence she spoke. Do you think we'll see each other again? I know you'll only continue to ascend the 9 heavens while I am stuck here. We'll see each other again. I will make sure to visit you when I get the chance in the future. Yuan smiled. However, Min Li shook her head and said, No, I will be the one to visit you. I will train hard and catch up to you no matter how long it will take me. And I will continue to ascend the 9 heavens until we meet again. If you don't mind, I have 2 more selfish requests for you. Please wait for me. Sure. Yuan nodded without hesitation. After a moment of silence, Yuan spoke. You said you have 2 requests for me, right? That was just one. Min Li immediately blushed. Actually, forget about my second request. I will tell you about it during our next meeting. Instead, can you close your eyes for a moment? Yuan silently nodded and closed his eyes. The moment Yuan closed his eyes, Min Li tipped her toes and leaned forward, kissing Yuan on his soft lips. Please keep them closed for a little longer. I don't want you to see my face right now. Min Li quickly said after removing her lips. After a moment of awkward silence, Min Li said, I may not be worthy to be with you now, but I will train hard to become someone worthy. Until next time, Yuan. Yuan suddenly felt a gentle gust of wind caress his face. He opened his eyes to see that Minli had disappeared from the balcony. He turned to look in a certain direction, and touched his lips. Why do they always ask me to close my eyes? He wondered inwardly. Ding! A distinct noise suddenly snapped Yuan out of his daze. Minli's adoration. Increases your charm by 40 and overall damage by 30%. Yuan logged off Cultivation online shortly after and gathered in the dining room to eat dinner with the others. Visit Me for extra chapters. You guys can do whatever you want for the next few days. I still have some business to do before we can head to the stairway to heaven. Yuan said to Meishio and the others. Okay. The following day. Feng, let's return to the House of Riches. They're probably waiting for us. Yuan said to her. Oh, I nearly forgot that Wed asked for their help regarding the Pill of Truth. Let's go. On their way to the House of Riches, Xiaohua asked. Why are you looking for the Pill of Truth? It's a long story. Feng Yuxiang said. Then shorten it. Xiaohua frowned. Feng Yuxiang chuckled and proceeded to briefly explain the situation to Xiaohua. Basically, we need the Pill of Truth to see if the young master's memories are real. Memories? Is there something wrong with your memories, Brother Yuan? Xiaohua turned to look at him with a puzzled face. No, it's nothing of that sort. I haven't told you this yet because you were away with Minli, but I actually have memories of my past life as the Divine Paragon. What? Xiaohua's eyes immediately widened. I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. I even recall my birthplace and my family during that life. In fact, I, the Divine Paragon, was born in the third heaven, our next destination. Reincarnation. Xiaohua mumbled in a low voice, her thoughts unknown. Seeing Xiaohua in deep thoughts, Yuan stopped talking so that she could think. Meanwhile, inside the Universal Music Academy, a man dressed in completely black stood before Sun Hao inside his quarters. Is this information real? Sun Hao turned to look at the man with a wide smile on his face. Yes, I have confirmed it myself. The Gu family is currently searching for a young man named Yuan. They seem to have some grievances with him. The man said. Ha ha ha. This is perfect. Let the Gu family know that I have information on this Yuan, and that I want to meet with them. Immediately. Right away. The man immediately left the room. What a coincidence that the Gu family is looking for that bastard. This must be heaven's calling. They must want that bastard dead as much as I do. Ha ha ha. Sun Hao laughed inwardly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 877. Published at 22nd of April, 2022, 7:48 and 28 seconds AM. Chapter 877. 877. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 877. LT wasn't robbery. After arriving at the House of Riches, Yuan and his group walked into the building to find out that there was an ongoing auction. Welcome, how may I? The man at the counter suddenly stopped talking. It's you. Please wait for a moment, esteemed guests. I will immediately notify Senior Gu of your arrival. The man immediately rushed upstairs. Ever since his last encounter with Yuan and Feng Yuxiang, the man had engraved their faces into his mind, fearing that he might offend them again. Gu Xiaolan could be seen rushing downstairs a few moments later. Welcome back, esteemed guests. I have been anticipating your arrival, she said to them with a bright smile on her face. Clearly, she had some good news. Once they were inside the VIP room, Feng Yuxiang said, So? Did you find any information on the Pill of Truth? Judging by your demeanor, you found something, right? Yes. Well, I have to announce with regret that the Pill of Truth doesn't exist in this world. I have been told by a reliable source that someone in the third heaven has won. And she continued, his name is Jin Sang, and he's a renowned Tier 5 alchemy master at the Spirit Grass Mountain. Thank you for the information, but if you want the Spirit Jade, you'll need to give me some concrete proof. I can't just accept your words so quickly. What if I give you the Spirit Jade, and it turns out the information is wrong? That would be foolish of me, Feng Yuxiang said. I assure you that this information is very trustworthy. Although I cannot give you any information about my sources, I am willing to put the House of Riches' name and reputation on my words. Feng Yuxiang silently stared at Gu Xiulan for a moment before turning to look at Yuan. What do you think, young master? Should we trust her information? I don't see why we shouldn't. They're a reputable name, right? And we're the ones who asked them for help. I think it would be rude of us to not trust them after all that. If the young master trusts them, I will also trust them. Here. Feng Yuxiang took out the spirit jade from her spatial ring and tossed it at Gu Xiulan, treating it as though it was only a piece of candy. Gu Xiulan's heart skipped a beat when she saw this, and she hastily caught the spirit jade, sighing in relief afterward. Even though you don't really deserve this spirit jade because I told you to find the pill of truth, and you only found information about it, I am feeling generous today. Feng Yuxiang said. Thank you, esteemed guest. Although the House of Riches is incredibly wealthy and 100 million spirit stones isn't much to them, it doesn't mean Gu Xiulan owns its wealth, as she is only a manager of this auction house. However, since this is a private deal between Feng Yuxiang and Gu Xiulan, she would be able to pocket all of the money to herself after paying the people she asked for help. Shall we go now, young master? Feng Yuxiang asked him. Yes, let's. Please wait. Gu Xiulan suddenly stopped them. What do you want? Feng Yuxiang asked. I know I shouldn't stick my nose into your business, and I have no intention to, but I have some additional information for you. Of course, this is on the house and you don't need to pay me for it. Feng Yuxiang narrowed her eyes and said, So you withheld information about the pill of truth from us? And no, that's not it. This is a completely different matter. She immediately refuted such claims. In case you don't already know about my background, I am actually from the 7 legacy families, the Gu family. According to what I've been told, the Gu family from the lower heavens had been robbed by someone named Yuan. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Oh, is that so? Yuan remained calm even after hearing such information. How did you know I was Yuan? I don't remember giving you my name. Feng Yuxiang narrowed her eyes at Gu Xiulan, who swallowed nervously. If I answer wrongly, I will be killed. She cried inwardly. That's because the Gu family from the lower heavens also gave us descriptions of you. I noticed it at first during our first encounter, but I didn't think it was you at that time. After the Flood Dragon's scale auction, Senior Nia told me your name, and that's when I realized it. Senior Nia? Oh right. He was there as well. Yuan remembered seeing Senior Nia after the auction. And you haven't told the Gu family about us? Why not? Feng Yuxiang suddenly asked. Honestly, I don't want to help those idiots from the lower heavens. I don't know why you decided to rob them when you can easily hand out 100 million spirit stones without any hesitation, but that's none of my business. They probably even deserved it. I see. And how is their search going? Feng Yuxiang then asked. They're still looking. It's not easy looking for people based on just their names and description, especially if they're not natives of this world, after all. In fact, it would be easier to find a needle in a haystack the size of a mountain. Thank you for this information, but I must clear up something. We didn't rob them. Yuan said. Huh, you didn't? So they lied? Gu Xiulan was left speechless by this information. It was a donation. They donated their treasures to me after I punished them a little for trying to take my friend by force. That's all there is to it. Yuan said with a smile. I see. In that case, they definitely deserved it. I apologize for sticking my nose into your business. Once again, thank you for the spirit jade and trusting me. I hope to do business again with you in the future. Gu Xiulan bowed to them. Yuan and Feng Yuxiang left the House of Riches shortly after, returning to the hotel. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 878. Published at 22nd of April, 2022, 7:48 and 26 seconds AM. Chapter 878. 878 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 878. Hidden formation. What should we do about the Gu family, young master? Feng Yuxiang asked him after they left the House of Riches. It's simple. We will do nothing. Yuan said. First of all, they don't even know about our location or our identity. We're also leaving this world soon, so unless they somehow manage to find us before then, there's no point to even think about it. If they somehow manage to find us, well, deal with it then. I understand. Feng Yuxiang nodded and said nothing else. After returning to the hotel, Yuan logged off. I'll see you guys later. I have some business that I need to take care of, so I won't appear for a while. Don't worry, it won't be longer than a few days. Yuan said to Xiaohua and the others before logging off. Once he returned to his world, Yuan picked up his phone and dialed a certain number. Hello, manager? This is Yuan. I'd like to speak with the Lord. Please schedule an appointment for me. Yuan said. No. The Lord doesn't do appointments. He will call you when he needs you. The manager coldly refused. Don't be so cold. This is about the demons in the mountain. Of course, if you want somebody else to deal with them, I will stop bothering you. The manager was dead silent for a good moment before she spoke. I will speak with the Lord. She immediately hung up afterward. She really hates me, huh? Yuan chuckled inwardly. What should I do now while I wait for a response? However, before he could even think of anything, his phone began ringing again. Hello. Get ready. I am coming to pick you up now. The manager said. You already spoke to the Lord? It hasn't even been a minute since our last conversation. The manager closed the connection before he could even finish his sentence. Yuan quickly got dressed and went outside to wait for the manager after leaving behind a note for Chu Liuxiang, who was diligently cultivating in the balcony. About 10 minutes after their phone call, the manager showed up in front of Yuan's living quarters. Let's go, she said. You don't have to pick me up every time. I know the way by now. Yuan suddenly said to her. The manager stopped walking and turned to look at him with a serious face. Do you really know the way? Of course. He nodded. Then you can take the lead, she said, even gesturing for him to walk ahead of her. Yuan merely smiled and began walking in front of her. About half an hour later, Yuan stopped walking, and he looked at the road in front of him with a pondering face. What's the matter? Why did you stop? The manager asked him. We should have arrived at the peak of the mountain by now, but I cannot see the peak nearby even with my divine sense. Ridiculous. The manager scoffed. Wait, Yuan suddenly said. After a moment of silence, he smiled. I see. No wonder why you told me to lead you. There's a powerful formation that keeps others from ever reaching the peak. Am I right? The manager narrowed her eyes slightly. Not bad. Now you know why I have to take you there. Besides the Lord and myself, the formation will keep all existence away from the peak. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. I understand now, but I still want to try to reach the peak. Yuan said, dumbfounding the manager. Did you not hear what I just said? She frowned afterward. I heard you loud and clear. Now that I understand it, I can deal with it. As long as I can figure out the trick to this formation, I should be able to reach the peak without your help. I would love to see you try, but we don't have the time for that. The Lord is waiting for you. If you make him wait too long. Don't worry, this won't take too long. Yuan said as he took a seat on the street. Even though the manager was confident that Yuan would not be able to bypass the formation, she couldn't help but stare at him with interest. Meanwhile, Yuan studied the formation with his divine sense. This formation is well hidden. It's no wonder why I didn't see it at first. Unless you're actively looking for it, you will most likely miss it. No, it actively tries to disguise itself, so you won't find it even if you know about its existence. Formations, although they are not considered arrays due to their size and complexity, they function about the same. 5 minutes later, Yuan stood up and turned to look at the manager with a smile on his face. In no way. Did he really manage to crack the formation? And in such a short time? She wondered inwardly, even feeling a little excited. However, What came out of Yuan's mouth a second later made her fume in anger. You were right, I couldn't crack it. Sorry. Yuan said with a playful smile on his face. Why, you little bastard? The manager's eyebrows twitched aggressively, and her face twisted in anger. How dare you mess with me? If the Lord wasn't waiting for you, I wouldn't hesitate to beat you up right now. Humph. The manager snorted before stomping ahead of him. Yuan shrugged and said, I'm not trying to make any excuses for myself by saying this, but the reason I couldn't crack the formation is because I don't recognize half of the array symbols that make up the formation. If I understood the symbols, I would have been able to crack it. Judging by the complexity of these symbols, they're probably level 4 or 5 array symbols. I only know up to level 3 and a little of level 4 array symbols. Once I learn level 4 and level 5 array symbols, I will try again. Whatever. The manager said. Even though Yuan wasn't able to crack the formation on his first attempt, the manager was still impressed that had even managed to see the formation in the first place. Of course, she would never admit that she was impressed by him, even if she was threatened with death. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 879. Published at 22nd of April, 2022, 7:48 and 25 seconds AM. Chapter 879. 879. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 879. How confident are you? 5 minutes after the manager took back the lead, they arrived at the peak of the Dragon Spiral Mountain. Yuan immediately walked to the cave and stood in front of it. Did something happen on your way here? You're late. The Lord's voice resounded from deep within the cave a moment later. Not really. I wanted to try cracking the formation that is protecting this place. Yuan said with a calm smile. The Lord was surprised by his words and couldn't find any words for a good moment. Haha. He suddenly started laughing. So you found the formation, huh? Not bad. Not bad at all. After getting a good laugh, the Lord continued. So, what business do you have with me, with the demons? It's nothing that important, but it's about time I deal with those pests. It doesn't feel good knowing that you're living so close to demons, you know? It's like living in a house with the knowledge that there are insects dwelling in your basement. It makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. Yuan said. The Lord didn't immediately respond, but he could tell that something had changed about Yuan, who appeared to be a totally different person right now. You say you want to deal with them, but how are you going to achieve that? The Lord asked a moment later. It's simple. I will drag them out of the mountain and deal with them one by one. After all, there's no reason why we should wait for them to break out of their seal. The best time to strike is when they're sealed and unable to defend themselves. That is an interesting but reckless plan. How confident are you? Can you say with certainty that you can defeat the demons at your current state without any troubles? Yes, I can, and I won't be fighting them myself. The demon sealing faction will also be there. How daring and risky. The Lord said in a pondering voice. They will eventually break out of their seals, and that day is not far in the future. We can train until we collapse every day until they break out of their seal, but I doubt it would make that much of a difference. While there is truth in your words, I don't know if I can completely trust you. What if you fail to kill the demons and they destroy my precious mountain? If you don't trust my abilities, then why did you even ask me to deal with your demon problem? Yuan said as he calmly stared into the pitch-black cave. This and that are two different matters. You're being impatient right now, and you're acting differently than usual. I don't know if I can trust you in your current state. The Lord said. Yuan sighed after hearing the Lord's words. Fine. Then you can find someone else to deal with the demons. The demon sealing faction will move out of the Dragon Spiral Mountain as soon as possible since I won't be able to fulfill your request. And without waiting for the Lord's response, Yuan turned around and began walking away. You insolent brat! The manager shouted at him. However, Yuan ignored her and continued walking. Where do you think you're going? An immense pressure suddenly appeared from the Lord's cave, halting Yuan's movements. Did you already forget about the formation? It works both ways, so you won't be able to leave here by yourself. The Lord said in a cold voice. Yuan turned to look at the cave in a stiff manner with the pressure making it hard for him to move. Judging by your aura, you're probably a spirit emperor. Perhaps even a spirit sovereign. However, that should be impossible with the quality of spiritual energy in this world even if you cultivated for millions of years. That is if you cultivated in this world. You're not from this world, are you? Let me guess. You're from Cultivation Online. Or should I call it the 9 Heavens? Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. The Lord's pressure suddenly disappeared, and the place became dead silent. The manager was also staring at Yuan with a profound frown on her face, seemingly trying to come to a conclusion. Yuan turned to look at the manager after sensing killing intent from her. I know you hate me, but I didn't think you hate me enough to want to kill me. However, are you sure you really want to do that? I am no match for a spirit emperor with my current strength, much less a spirit sovereign, so I am currently at your mercy. However, if you kill me, you can kiss the dragon spiral mountain goodbye when the demons come out of their seals. Yuan suddenly laid on the ground and spread his limbs out like he was stretching. Go ahead. Kill me. I want to defend myself. Stand down, Leah. The Lord's voice resounded, breaking the awkward silence. And he continued, Who are you? You're not the Yuan I know. Yuan smiled and said, It's rude to ask for one's identity while being in a place where they cannot even see you, much less identify you. I have my circumstances. The Lord said. What a coincidence. I also have my circumstances. However, I can tell you that I am indeed Yuan. Whether you believe me or not. I don't care. After another long moment of silence, the Lord spoke. I will ask you again. How confident are you? Can you promise me that you won't mess this up? The Dragon Spiral Mountain is much more important than you can ever imagine. If the demons destroy it, it will be the end of this world. Yuan raised his eyebrows after hearing the Lord's seemingly outrageous claims. I won't make any promises, but I can say with confidence that I have never lost to a demon before. Yuan said, not counting his defeat in the demon ceiling pagoda. A defeated sigh echoed from the cave a moment later. Very well. Do as you please. However, if you screw up, I will personally kill you even if it's the last thing I do. The Lord said, if you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 880. Published at 22nd of April, 2022. 8 o'clock and 11 seconds p.m. Chapter 880. 880 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 880. 26 days good. Now that it's been decided, I want to see the demons right now. Yuan said. Bring him to the demons. And don't do anything funny, Leah. The Lord said to the manager. I want. She said in a nonchalant voice. Follow me. Yuan nodded and silently followed the manager to the area with the 11 demons. Once they arrived, Yuan began analyzing the demons one by putting his hand onto it and checking their prowess. Some minutes later, Yuan pointed at a specific demon and said to the manager, I want this demon. Can you deliver it to the back of my house by this afternoon? The manager frowned and said, Are you insane? What do you think this place is? A convenience store where you can buy demons and have them delivered? Well, I don't mind taking care of the demons here, but are you sure you want that? It's going to get messy, and we could accidentally break the other demons out of their seal in the process. Although I don't care if the Dragon Spiral Mountain is destroyed or not, I don't think the Lord will like that very much. Che. The manager coldly snorted. Fine, we will deliver it to you by this afternoon. What else do you want? Yuan suddenly summoned the Empyrean Overlord and began writing on the ground in front of the sealed demons, numbering them from 1 to 11 in addition to dates. The numbers dictate the order these demons will break out of their seal, and the date is the exact day they will break out of their seal. I want you to deliver the demons 3 days prior to their dates. Simple, right? The manager didn't say anything at first and walked around to look at the dates. The first demon to break out of their seal is in 5 days, and the last demon will break out of their seal in 26 days. We have less than a month to deal with all 11 demons. The manager mumbled, sounding slightly worried. She turned to look at Yuan and asked, "How accurate are your assessments?" "Although I can't tell the exact second the demons will break out of their seal until the very last few hours, I am confident that they will break out on those days. However, just in case, I want you to bring them to me 3 days prior to their dates," Yuan said. "And what are you going to do once I deliver these demons to you?" the manager continued to ask. Yuan smiled and said, "You're free to stay behind and experience it with your very own eyes. I will be doing that even without needing you to tell me." "Great. Then I will see you in a few hours," Yuan said as he walked towards the exit. Once they returned to the Lord, Yuan said, "I am going to return home for now to prepare. You can ask for the details from her." He pointed at the manager. "Leah, show him the exit," the Lord said. The manager then led Yuan until they left the formation. "See you later, Leah." Yuan chuckled. "I don't recall giving you the permission to use my name." The manager frowned. "What's the harm? I have a feeling that we'll become friends in the near future, so we might as well start now." "In your dreams," the manager sneered before leaving him to return to the peak of the mountain. Once she returned to the Lord's side, she explained the situation to him. "I see. So we have 26 days to deal with the demons." The manager then asked in a concerned voice, "Can we really trust him?" After a moment of silence, the Lord spoke. "Although I don't know what had happened to him to cause such a drastic change in personality, he's definitely more formidable than before. And we're in no position to be picky. We have no choice but to trust him for now." The manager then said in a low voice, "When he was with the demons earlier, I could smell anger and hatred in his scent. I don't want to trust him, but I believe that he truly despises demons for some reason." "That's good enough for me," the Lord said. Meanwhile, after returning to his home, Yuan called for everyone in the demon sealing faction. Once everyone was gathered, Yuan said to them, "This is a little sudden, but I need you all to prepare yourselves." "What happened?" Wu Zhao asked. "We're going to be fighting a demon soon," he replied in a calm voice. "Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters." "What? A demon?" they all exclaimed. "This is certainly very sudden. Where are we going to fight the demon?" Wang Ming asked. "Here. In our backyard." "What?" Their eyes widened with shock after hearing such words. "The manager will be delivering a demon to our backyard later this afternoon, and I am going to let you all fight it." Yuan revealed another piece of shocking information. "Wait. You're going to make us fight the demon?" Shirlang swallowed nervously. "Yes. You can't expect me to fight all of the demons by myself, right? Although I can certainly kill all of the demons by myself, that would make your efforts pointless. You all learned demon sealing techniques for a reason, or am I wrong?" "No, you're right," Wang Bingbing said with a resolute expression on her face. "Don't worry, I won't force you to fight if you don't want to. I will fight," Wang Ming immediately said. "Me too." Shi Morong raised his hand. Once everyone there agreed to fight, Yuan nodded and said, "Good, then meet me in the backyard this afternoon." The others immediately stormed off to prepare for the fight. "Are you two okay?" Yuan asked Meishio and Chu Liuxiang afterward. "I would be lying if I said that I'm perfectly fine, but I am not afraid. After all, you're going to be there, right?" Chu Liuxiang said. "Of course." Yuan nodded. "Then there's nothing for me to be worried about. I am going to prepare," Chu Liuxiang said before she left to prepare. "If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 881. Chapter 881. Tianqinyu, what about you? Are you feeling okay? Yuan asked Meishio, who was the only one left there. "Just a little nervous," she said. "Don't worry, you'll be fine. You might be startled by the demon's appearance and aura at first, but remember, you have trained under my killing intent. Yuan smiled. She nodded. Once Meishio also left to prepare, Yuan returned to his room and sat on the balcony with a zither in his lap, and for the next few hours, until it was time to gather at the backyard, he would play with the zither that once belonged to Azure. 2. I have already lost 2 people that were precious to me to demons. There will not be another. I will do everything in my power to kill all demons. Yuan sighed inwardly as he recalled his memories as Tian Qingyu. Sitting atop a small green hill were 2 figures, a young man and a young lady, both seemingly around 16 years old. The young man had a scroll in his grasp and appeared to be studying its contents with great focus. Meanwhile, sitting right beside him, the young lady appeared to be fiddling with flowers. Qingyu, look. A sweet but clear voice resounded. What is it? Tian Qingyu responded without looking away from the scroll. I said look, not listen. Come on. You won't die if you stop studying for a day. Tian Qingyu sighed and placed his scroll down before turning to look at the beautiful young lady sitting beside him. You know the scholar examination is next week. You even promised that you wouldn't bother me if I came out here with you. If I fail this examination, I will have to wait another 4 years before I can retake it. Don't be so stingy. Do you know how many people would die to spend time with me? You should consider yourself lucky that I chose you. And with your intelligence, I'm sure you can pass the examination even without studying. You chose me? Or do you mean our families chose each other? Tian Qingyu shook his head. Indeed, he was engaged to this young lady, but that was a decision made by their families. While that is true, I still have control over my own feelings, and I personally want to be with you, she said with a slightly rosy face. Tian Qingyu also began blushing, and the 2 of them would silently and awkwardly stare at each other for the next few seconds. Anyways, look at this wreath I just finished. I made it using the flowers in this area. Isn't it beautiful? Tian Qingyu looked at the headdress made of white flowers in her hands and shrugged. Here, let me help you put it on. Who said I want to wear? Before Tian Qingyu could even finish his sentence, the young lady placed the wreath on his head. You look even weaker than usual now. She chuckled. So annoying. Tian Qingyu mumbled to himself. However, despite his annoyance with her, he didn't remove the crown of flowers on his head. Instead, he picked up his scroll and went right back to reading it. The young lady smiled at his reaction, and then she positioned her body before laying her head on Tian Qinyu's legs. Tian Qingyu acted as though he didn't even notice it, and continued reading his scroll. The 2 of them remained in that position for the next few hours until the sun was beginning to set. It's about time I go home. I won't be able to see you for another month because of my cultivation lessons, but I will come see you as soon as that is over. So I will have a month of peace, huh? It's been a while. Tian Qingyu said as he packed his scrolls and stood up. How horrible. Do you really hate being around me that much? The young lady said with a puffed face as she tried to act angry. What do you think? Tian Qingyu said. She pondered for a moment before responding with a cheeky smile. I think you love me, but you're just too shy to admit it. Whatever. Tian Qingyu nonchalantly said, and he began walking down the hill. Wait for me. The young lady quickly grabbed her stuff before chasing after him. After walking for about 20 minutes, the 2 of them returned to the city. Qingyu, I know it'll only be a month, but promise me that you won't forget about me. The young lady suddenly said. Really? Tian Qingyu looked at her with a weird face. The young lady didn't respond and merely stared at him intently. Tian Qingyu sighed and said, I promise I won't forget you. The young lady immediately smiled. Then I will see you next month, darling. Tian Qinyu's entire body trembled when the young lady called him darling, but before he could even say anything, the young lady turned around and ran away with a flushed face. After returning home, Tian Qinyu's father approached him and asked, How was your day with Lady Ai Rong? It was horrible, and I couldn't get any studying done. Why did you even agree to let me go out with her when you know my examination is next week? How could I refuse such a beautiful young lady asking to spend time with my own son? I would lose my qualifications as a father if I refused. Whatever. I'm going back to my room to study. You don't have to cook my share for dinner tonight, Tian Qingyu said before disappearing into the house. He's still having difficulties expressing his emotions, huh? A beautiful woman suddenly appeared inside. He's already finished his studies 2 months ago, yet he still pretends to be studying. Why can't he just be honest and accept his feelings for Lady Ai Rong? Tian Chenya's father sighed. Lady Ai Rong, on the other hand, is very expressive and honest about her feelings for him. It feels like their role as a man and woman are flipped. What a troubled young man my son is. The woman sighed as well. Chapter 882. Chapter 882. Fascinated after returning to his room, Tian Chenyu dropped the scrolls on the floor and went straight to his bed. He laid down and proceeded to stare at the ceiling with a blank look on his face. Why can't I be honest whenever I am with her? What's wrong with me? He sighed inwardly as Ai Rong's face appeared inside his head. He eventually fell asleep on his bed thinking about his day with Ai Rong. And while he slept, he would continue to dream of their time together. A week later, Tian Chenyu left his house early to take the scholar examination. While Ai Rong wanted to become a cultivator, Tian Chenyu wanted to follow his father's path as a scholar. Of course, Ai Rong has tried to convince Tian Chenyu to become a cultivator with her, but he did not like violence, and with cultivators being symbolic of violence in his era, it was near impossible to convince him to become a cultivator. Once he arrived at the site of the examination, Tian Chenyu went inside and immediately began his examination. The examination consisted of many complicated and philosophical questions that could take 6 hours to complete even for talented individuals. However, when Tian Chenyu took the examination, it took him less than an hour to finish, shocking everyone there. That was Tian Aoi's son Tian Chenyu, right? I have heard about his talents, but I didn't think he would be this crazy. Looks like his father will finally have a rival. Tian Chenyu immediately returned home after finishing his examinations. You're back already? Tian Aoi, his father, was surprised to see him back so soon. Yes, the examination was much easier than anticipated. Now that you're done with the examination, you'll have plenty of time to spend with Lady Ai Rong. His mother began to tease him. I don't even like. Who do you think you're trying to fool? My 16 years of experience as your mother isn't for naught, Chenyu. Anyway, Lady Ai Rong is currently busy with her cultivation, but when she is finished, I want you to go see her. It's always Lady Ai Rong who visits you, so you're going to be the one to visit her this time. And I won't take no for an answer. Do you understand what I just said? I understand. Tian Chenyu nodded while sighing inwardly. Good. Tian Chenyu returned to his room shortly after, but he quickly became bored. Although it can get quite annoying with her around, it's also incredibly boring without her. He sighed. What am I going to do for the next 3 weeks? The examinations are over, and I don't feel like studying anymore. He suddenly turned to look at a certain object hanging behind his door. That object was a sword. It was given to him by his parents just in case he needed to protect himself, but he has never used it before. Why would she want to become a cultivator? Cultivators are violent in nature, and they are at higher risk of being targeted by demons because their bodies absorb spiritual energy, so they are tastier than mortals who are without any spiritual energy to demons. I really don't understand her. Fortunately for us, demons rarely come to this area, and when they do, they will eat a few dozen people before leaving us alone. Sometime later, Tian Chenyu sat before his study table and began flipping through pages of a book. However, this book doesn't contain information that he would normally study, so this is what a demon looks like. I have never seen one before. Tian Chenyu mumbled to himself as he read about demons. They are immortal beings that cannot be killed even if their heads and brains are crushed. You can cut their bodies in half and tear off all their limbs, but they will regenerate everything like nothing had even happened. Heavens! How do you even fight these monsters if they're so powerful? The more Tian Chenyu studied about demons, the more intrigued and fascinated he became about their species, and it would quickly become his hobby to study about demons. For the next 3 weeks, Tian Chenyu would study non-stop about demons until he read every book and scroll that existed within the city. And when he had nothing new to read, he would read through everything for a second and even third time. After studying so much about demons, Tian Chenyu felt like he knew everything about demons. However, no matter how much he read about them, there was one thing that he could not understand. What is it like to encounter a demon? He wondered. Regardless how knowledgeable he was on demons, he could not understand what it would feel like to encounter a real demon. Knock knock, Chinyu, are you awake? His mother suddenly knocked on the door. Yes, I am. I just received news from the AI family that Lady AI Rong will finish her cultivation lessons today. Do you remember what I told you 3 weeks ago? Yes, I remember. Tian Chinyu responded with a bittersweet smile on his face. Good. Then go and fulfill your duties as her fiancé and as a man. I will, Tian Chinyu said, and he left his room after cleaning his desk. Right as he reached the doors, his mother showed up again and handed him a wooden basket. Enjoy this food with the AI family. Okay. One more thing. Rumor has it that someone had spotted a demon near our city 3 days ago, so don't stay out too late. After all, if you encounter a demon, you are almost guaranteed to die. I know. Tian Chinyu accepted the basket and began making his way towards the AI family that was about an hour walk from his house. About halfway there, Tian Chinyu stopped walking when he heard someone shouting in a hysterical voice, Run! A demon has appeared on the east side of the city, and it is going through houses, eating the families inside. The east side? That's where the AI family is located. AI Rong. Upon realizing this fact, Tian Chinyu dropped the basket in his grasp and began running, but he was not going back home. Instead, he continued to make his way towards the AI family. Please be safe, AI Rong. He constantly prayed in his heart as he ran, tumbling to the ground multiple times on his way there. Chapter 883. Chapter 883. AI Rong, please be safe. AI Rong. Please be safe. I promise that I will start being honest to you with my feelings. Tian Chinyu continued to run towards the east side of the city, even though he was already out of breath. Hide! A demon has appeared on the east side of the city. The pedestrians shouted as they ran. Young man, where are you going? That's the direction of the demon. Some of the pedestrians tried to stop Tian Chinyu, but he ignored all of their warnings and continued running. A few minutes later, which felt like an eternity for Tian Chinyu, he finally arrived in the area where the AI family was located. However, the place was awfully quiet, a stark contrast to the atmosphere on the other side of the city. Tian Chinyu eventually arrived at the AI family's household, and he could even see their entrance. However, he couldn't approach the household for some reason, and could only stand a couple of houses away. He eventually snapped out of his daze and proceeded walking towards the AI family's household. But then he came to another halt when he noticed a figure appearing from within the household. And this person appeared to be running away from something. When Tian Chinyu saw the pretty face of this person, a smile immediately appeared on his face. AI Rong. Indeed, it was AI Rong, his love since childhood and fiancé. Tian Chinyu felt all of the weight on his shoulders disappear the moment he saw that AI Rong was still alive. Even though she looked terrified and completely hysterical at this moment, that didn't matter to him. However, before he could even sigh a breath of relief, and before the smile on his face could fully be formed, something red and long appeared behind AI Rong, and it was flying towards her direction like a spear. Before Tian Chinyu could even fully comprehend what he was seeing, the red spear reached AI Rong and pierced her body from the back. AI Rong fell to the ground the very next moment and laid there, but she was still alive. Seeing this, Tian Chinyu immediately began running towards her. However, before he could even take 2 steps, he noticed a red figure appearing behind AI Rong. This figure had dark red skin, and it had the frame of a tall human adult. There was also a very distinct-looking horn poking from the right side of its head. The moment Tian Chinyu saw this demon, his body froze, almost as though head turned into a stone statue. What are you doing, Tian Chinyu? Move. Move, damn it. He roared inwardly. But no matter how much he tried to command his body to move, it simply refused to listen to him, so he could only stand there and watch as the demon slowly approached AI Rong, who was squirming on the ground in a puddle of her own blood. No. Don't. Stop it. Stop it. Tian Chinyu wanted to shout at the demon to stop, but no voices came out of his mouth. Tears flowed from Tian Chenya's eyes as he watched the demon open its grotesque mouth and clamp down on Ai Rong's legs before tearing it right off her body. Ai Rong immediately screamed in pain, and her sharp and painful voice felt like daggers piercing his heart when it reached Tian Chenyu. Meanwhile, the demon chewed on her leg and swallowed it within seconds. Delicious. The demon began laughing afterward, and it immediately went for another bite, taking another chunk of Ai Rong's flesh from her body. However, Tian Chenyu could do nothing but watch in horror and fear. Eventually, Ai Rong could no longer scream, so she just laid there as the demon continued to eat her body. Once half of Ai Rong's body was consumed, Tian Chenyu noticed that Ai Rong was looking in his direction, and her lips appeared to be moving. Tian Chenyu subconsciously read her lips, which said, "Chenyu, R-U-N." After reading her lips, Tian Chenyu regained enough strength to move his arms, and he lifted his arms towards Ai Rong's direction, seemingly trying to reach for her. Seeing Tian Chenyu's motion, a slight smile appeared on Ai Rong's face, and her lips continued to move. "I love you. Goodbye." After saying her last words, the light in Ai Rong's eyes faded, and at the same moment, her life ended. However, that didn't stop the demon from consuming the rest of her body. In the end, the demon consumed even the last drop of her blood from the ground. After the demon finished eating Ai Rong, it turned around and went back inside the household. Once the demon was no longer in his view, Tian Chenyu fell to his knees, and he would spend many minutes staring at the stained ground in front of the Ai family's household. The demon would end up eating everybody in the Ai family and many other families before leaving the city unharmed. Tian Chenyu wouldn't return home until it was past midnight, and when he did, his worried parents were there to greet him. "Chenyu, where have you been? A demon had appeared in the city. We've been worried to death about you." His mother immediately went to embrace him. However, she stopped when there was no reaction from Tian Chenyu. "Si Chenyu? What happened to you, dear?" She gasped in shock when she saw the blank look on Tian Chenyu's face. Even though he was clearly alive, he also appeared to be dead at the same time, almost like a soulless vessel. Tian Aowei then spoke in a low voice. "I had a bad feeling when I heard that the demon had appeared in the east side of the city." "Don't tell me. The Ai family." Realizing the truth, Tian Chenyu's mother embraced him even harder while crying at the same time. "I'm sorry, Chenyu. I'm really sorry." Tian Chenyu eventually fell unconscious in his mother's embrace. When that happened, his family carried him to his bed so that he could rest, and they would call a doctor for him the following morning. Chapter 884. Chapter 884. Tian Chenyu's awakening. "How is my son, doctor?" Tian Aowei asked after the doctor they hired to check on Tian Chenyu. "Although there is nothing wrong with him physically, I am afraid that his mind is lost." What is that supposed to mean? What will happen to my son? His mother immediately began crying again. He must have experienced something extremely traumatic very recently. That event has stressed his mind to its limits, putting him into a coma. I don't know when he'll wake up. If he'll even wake up. We can only hope for a miracle from the heavens at this moment. The doctor sighed. How can that be? His mother began crying even harder. Even though Tian Chenyu was in a coma, his mind was actually conscious, so he was able to hear the doctor's words and his mother crying. What's the point of waking up if Ai Rong won't be there when I wake up? Tian Chenyu sighed inwardly as he fell deeper into his consciousness. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, but there were still no signs of Tian Chenyu waking up from his coma. Eventually, a whole year would pass without Tian Chenyu waking up even once. However, despite that, his family never gave up on him and took care of him daily. 1 year turned into 2 years, and within the blink of an eye, 3 years have passed since Ai Rong's death. How long do you plan on sleeping? One day, an unfamiliar voice resounded inside Tian Chenyu's head, waking his consciousness a little. Who's there? My identity isn't important. What's truly important here is you. Your future. Do you really plan on rotting away in your room as a nobody? The voice returned. So what if I rot away? It's not like I have anything to live for anymore. Tian Chenyu sighed. How pathetic. You lose a woman and you give up life? Shut up. Ai Rong wasn't just any woman. She was my woman. My childhood friend. My fiancé. My love. Is that why you merely stood there when your love was slowly being consumed by that demon? Is that really why you couldn't even utter a single word? Is that why you didn't even try to help her? There was nothing I could have done in that situation. I am immortal. I am powerless. If I had the power. So you're telling me that if you had the power that you would have saved her? I don't believe it. You may have been powerless, but you didn't even attempt to help her. You weren't just powerless. You were also spineless, a coward, and utterly useless. Tian Chenyu couldn't refute the voice's ridicule, and could only silently accept the mockery. The voice would continue to mock Tian Chenyu for the next few minutes before disappearing. However, the voice would return shortly after. I will ask you again. If you truly had the power to defeat demons, what would you do then? If I had the power to defeat demons? Tian Chenyu repeated. After a moment of silence, he would respond in a furious voice. If I had the power, I would erase all demons from existence. I would become their worst nightmare. I would make them regret ever being born. Is that so? I still don't believe you, but I will give you a chance to prove it. Wake up, Tian Chenyu. The voice disappeared after saying such words, and Tian Chenyu could suddenly feel a warm sensation coming from somewhere deep within his body, quickly enveloping his entire entity. And before he was aware, his eyes that had been closed shut for over 3 years would suddenly open, revealing the world to him once again. Tian Chenyu sat up on his bed, and turned to look at the sword that was still hanging on his door. He then got off the bed and walked to the sword, picking it up. Despite having not moved his body for over 3 years, Tian Chenyu did not feel any fatigue in his body at all. In fact, he's never felt any better, even stronger than ever. After staring at the sword for a moment, he walked to the center of the room and started swinging it around. At first, his movements were completely amateurish, and his swings had no experience behind them. However, he would quickly improve. His family eventually realized that their son had woken up from his coma, when the servants passing through his room would hear noises coming from within. Chenyu, I have been so worried. Thank the heavens that you finally woke up. You have been in a coma for 3 years. His mother was the first to barge into his room, and she cried for many minutes while hugging him. Anyways, why are you swinging that sword around when you just woke up? You should rest some more. I will immediately call for a doctor. Rest? I have rested enough. Tian Chenyu said in a nonchalant voice. Please leave me alone. He then forced everyone out of his room before continuing to swing his sword. Chenyu. What's the matter? Give him some time. He may have woken, but his heart and mind is still. Tian Aowei sighed. All right. However, neither Tian Chenyu's father or mother could have anticipated that some time would actually last much longer than his coma. Days turned into months, and months turned into years. Within the blink of an eye, 20 years have passed since Tian Chenyu's awakening. During this time, Tian Chenyu would remain inside his room doing heaven knows what for the majority of the time, and the only times he could be seen outside his room are during times when he needed to clean his body because the stench from his body became too unbearable. As for his parents, they would continue to support him however they could even when they barely saw or spoke to each other. When Tian Chenyu began requesting for information on demons, they went out of their way to collect books and scrolls about demons from other cities. They would gather so many books and scrolls that they had to build multiple storage units around their house, just to keep the books from cluttering the house. Chapter 885. Published at 26th of April, 2022, 8:18 and 22 seconds AM. Chapter 885. 885. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 885. LAM Tian Chenyu. How long do we have to continue this lifestyle? It's been 20 years since that incident, and I have barely seen my son since then. Although I am happy that he's no longer in a coma, this isn't that much different. I can even count the amount of times we've talked to each other during the past 20 years. Tian Chenyu's mother sighed out loud, complaining to her husband, Tian Aowei. It can take years if not decades for a broken heart to heal. We must be patient, he said. What if he never recovers? We're not cultivators. We don't have hundreds of years to spend with each other. Then what do you suggest? We cannot force his heart to heal. Or what? Do you want another son? Although you're past that age, it's not impossible. What? No. I don't want another son. How can you even suggest that? If you're suggesting that we replace Chinyu with another son, how is that any different than abandoning Chinyu? Calm down, I was just being sarcastic. But there is truly nothing we can do now but be patient. It might seem like he's not recovering, but that is not true. Things are much better now than 20 years ago. Nowadays he leaves his room once a week, but back then, it would be a miracle to see him outside his room even once a month. At this rate, I will be an old lady before we can become a real family again. Better late than never, right? I guess so. By the way, it's almost that time of the year again. Do you think he'll visit their graves this year? Tian Aowei suddenly asked. Unlikely. She sighed. Do you think he'll ever fall in love again? That's another problem we must worry about, our grandchildren. Who knows? Tian Aowei shook his head. Anyways, it's getting late. Good night, dear. Good night. A week later, right as the Tian family prepared to visit the AI family's grave sites, they received dreadful news that changed their plans. What? Demons have entered the city? When did this happen? How many? Tian Aowei asked the servant who told him the news. About an hour ago. And there are 3 demons. They are rampaging the city even as we speak. Shit. Why did they have to show up today on all days? Tian Aowei cursed out loud. And he continued, let everyone in the household know about the situation. We will hide underground for the next 3 days. Yes. While the servants in the household began scrambling towards the underground area beneath the Tian family's household that was created to hide from demons, Tian Aowei and his wife went to warn Tian Chinyu of the situation. Chinyu, hurry up and open the door. Demons have invaded our city, and there are 3 of them. We must hurry and hide underground until they leave. His mother banged on his door that was locked shut. However, there was no response from Tian Chinyu, almost as though he wasn't inside his room. Chinyu, are you asleep? Wake up. His mother continued banging on his door. Where's Chinyu? Tian Aowei showed up shortly after and asked her. I don't know. He should be in his room, but he's not responding. What if something had happened to him? Shit. We don't have much time left. Move. I am going to break down his door. Tian Aowei said as he approached Tian Chenyu's room. However, right as he stood in front of the door, the ground suddenly shook, and a loud noise resounded behind them simultaneously. Tian Aowei and his wife slowly turned around to see a tall shadow standing in a cloud of dust about 20 meters from them. Once the dust cloud disappeared, the figure within became visible. A demon. We're dead. Tian Aowei cried inwardly as his body trembled in fear from the demon's aura that radiated with killing intent. And no, not like this. His wife directly fell to her knees and began crying the moment she saw the demon. Once the demon noticed their presence, it began walking towards their direction. Mortals, huh? I would have preferred cultivators, but I guess you'll do just fine as an appetizer before my main meal. The demon licked its lips as it closed their distance within seconds. Tian Aowei and his wife remained frozen as the demon stood right before them, as they were too terrified to even run away. I love you, darling. Tian Aowei mumbled in a low voice as the demon opened its mouth. However, just as the demon tried to take a bite of Tian Aowei's face, a cold voice resounded from the room behind them. The stench of a demon. How unpleasant. The door behind Tian Aowei and his wife suddenly flew open, and Tian Chinyu appeared from the room with a sword in his grasp, stabbing the demon right in its mouth. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. After sticking his sword in the demon's face, Tian Chinyu kicked the demon in its stomach, sending it flying. It's dangerous here. You two should leave. Tian Chinyu said to his parents without looking at them. See Chinyu. They stared at him with shocked looks on their faces. Tian Aowei quickly snapped out of his daze and picked up his wife before running away. Wait. We cannot leave him with the demon. Hell die! His wife shouted. However, Tian Aowei ignored his wife and continued to carry her away from the scene. The moment Tian Chenya's parents left, the demon got back to its feet and stared at Tian Chenyu while baring its sharp teeth at him. A mere mortal! How dare you! The demon roared before running at him. Seeing the demon running at him, Tian Chenya's hands and legs began to tremble uncontrollably. However, he quickly regained control over his body, swinging the sword in his grasp at the incoming demon. Due to its arrogance, the demon didn't even bother to block Tian Chenya's strike and allowed him to sever its arm. Useless. It's useless. Even if you cut me into 1,000,000 pieces with that sword, I will fully recover within seconds like nothing ever happened. The demon laughed madly as Tian Chenyu severed its other arm. Why don't we put that to the test? Tian Chenyu said in a calm voice. He then severed the demon's legs. I told you it's useless. The demon continued to laugh. However, it stopped laughing a few moments later when its limbs still hadn't recovered. What's going on? Why isn't my body recovering? The demon was puzzled, but it didn't panic, at least not yet. It turned to look at its severed arms and legs, and to its absolute shock, its limbs had suddenly turned into stone. What is the meaning of this? What did you do to me? The demon roared at Tian Chenyu, who was standing in front of it and looking down on it like it was trash. What did I do? Nothing much. I simply sealed your body, preventing it from regenerating. I think. This is actually my first time doing something like this, so I am really glad that it's working as I thought. Why you sealed my body and my ability to regenerate? I am impossible. There's no way humans could have such power. Who are you? I am the one who will be hunting down every single demon in this world, until there are none of you left. I am the one who will put an end to this era of demons terrorizing humans. I'm your demon's worst nightmare. I am Tian Chenyu. Tian Chenyu said with a cold expression on his face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 886. Published at 26th of April, 2022, 8:18 and 21 seconds AM. Chapter 886. 886. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 886. This is just the beginning. The demon stared at Tian Chenyu with a stunned face after hearing his introduction. But after a moment of silence, it suddenly burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. You will hunt us down. Ha ha ha. This is the funniest joke I have heard all century. After laughing for a good moment, it suddenly stopped laughing and proceeded to glare at Tian Chenyu with a threatening gaze. Who the fuck do you think you are, human? I don't know what trick you used to prevent my body from healing, but I doubt it'll last for long. And even if you take away our regeneration temporarily, you still won't be able to kill us. You're right. Tian Chenyu responded after a moment of silence. I don't have the means to kill you efficiently for now, but I will eventually find a way. Until then, I will just keep you sealed. Keep dreaming. Humans will forever be dominated by demons. You will forever remain as our livestock. It has been that way for thousands of years now. It won't suddenly change because you learn some new tricks. Ha ha. Tian Chenyu suddenly started laughing. What's so funny? The demon growled. I can't believe I used to be so afraid of demons. If only I had realized this earlier. Realized how truly pathetic demons are. Anyways, before I seal you for good, I have a question for you. Do you know of any one-horned demons? It has a black horn on the right side of its head, and the horn has this weird zigzagging structure. If you tell me, I just might spare you. Ha ha ha. Go fuck yourself, you damn livestock. The demon laughed in response. Is that so? Tian Chenyu closed his eyes and took a deep breath. I still haven't come up with a good name for this technique yet, but what's the point of overthinking it? Let's just call it Demon Sealing Strike. Once he opened his eyes, Tian Chenyu brandished the sword in his grasp at the demon, decapitating the demon's head from its limbless body. Shortly after the demon's head fell to the ground, Its body and head turned into stone, coming fully sealed. After sealing the demon, Tian Chenyu fell to his knees, and his body began trembling again. He looked at his hands that were shaking non-stop. I did it. I have defeated a demon. I am no longer powerless. Tears flowed from his eyes, as he's been waiting for this moment for over 20 years. However, he wasn't satisfied just yet. In fact, he was far from satisfied. This is just the beginning. Tian Chenyu narrowed his eyes on the sealed demon. Now then, there should be 2 more demons rampaging in this city. After taking a deep breath, he stood back up and started making his way towards the exit. See Chenyu. His mother suddenly appeared and embraced him. Are you okay? Are you hurt? What happened to the demon? She asked him. The demon? I took care of it. Why you took care of it? How is that possible? You're just a mortal. You have never cultivated before. No mortal can possibly fight a demon, much less defeat it. Tian Aowei appeared and said, You don't have to believe me. You can take a look at the demon yourself. It's right over there. Don't worry, it won't be able to harm you. In the meantime, I have 2 more demons to take care of, so if you don't mind, I'd like to excuse myself. You plan on fighting the other demons as well? That's too reckless. I won't let you go. His mother embraced him even harder, refusing to let him go. I'm sorry, mother, but I have to go. This is the only reason I woke up from my coma, after all. Tian Chenyu said as he escaped her grasp. Chenyu visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. After Tian Chenyu left, his parents went to look at the sealed demon. Heavens! Is this really the same demon that attacked us just now? It turned into stone. Tian Aowei stared at the demon that had all of its limbs and head severed with a shocked face. Did Chenyu really do this? How in heaven's name did he? His mother mumbled in a dazed voice. I guess he didn't spend 20 years in solitude for nothing. Tian Aowei sighed. After leaving his home, Tian Chenyu followed the demon's stench until he encountered the second demon. When he arrived, it was chewing on the leg of a child. The demon glanced at Tian Chenyu when it noticed his presence, and it spoke. I'll eat you next, so stand there and wait for me. If you dare run, I will make your death more painful. However, before it could even finish its sentence, Tian Chenyu kicked the rock beside his feet, sending it flying at the demon and hitting it right in the face. The demon stopped chewing for a moment before tossing away the half-eaten leg in its grasp, and turning to look at Tian Chenyu. After swallowing, it spoke in a grim voice. How dare you, livestock? You're fucking dead. The demon started running at Tian Chenyu with its mouth wide open and dripping with saliva and blood. Seeing this, Tian Chenyu took a deep breath before confronting the demon with his sword. Ha! What do you hope to achieve with that cheap sword? The demon laughed as it clawed at Tian Chenyu with its sharp fingers while taking all of his sword strikes head-on with its body. What's going on? Why is my body feeling stiff? The demon wondered as it continued to attack Tian Chenyu. However, by the time the demon realized what was happening to its body, it was already too late. What is this? What did you do to my body? The demon roared at Tian Chenyu as it laid before him with most of its body turned into stone. But instead of answering its question, Tian Chenyu asked, Do you know any demons with a single zigzagging horn on the right side of its head? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 887. Published at 26th of April, 2022, 8:18 and 20 seconds AM. Chapter 887. 887. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 887. Tian Chenyu's decision, a demon with a zigzagging horn? The demon mumbled in a low voice. After a moment of silence, a wide grin appeared on its face, and it said, Now that you mention it, I might have seen a demon like that before. Why do you care? Oh, let me take a guess. Perhaps you lost someone valuable to this demon? Ha ha ha. I see. So you don't know anything about this demon. Well, not that it really matters. I will eventually find it as I wipe you demons from this world, one by one. Tian Chenyu flicked his arm the next moment, sending the demon's head into the air, and completely sealing it with the demon sealing strike. 2 down, 1 more to go. Sometime later, Tian Chenyu followed the last demon's scent until he reached the other side of the city. However, by the time had arrived, the demon had already erased 6 families from the city, and was preparing to leave. Hey, where do you think you're going, you lowly demon? Tian Chenyu approached the demon as it reached the city gates. What the fuck did you just call me, livestock? The demon halted its movements and turned to look at Tian Chenyu with a grim expression. What's wrong? You don't like it? I think it's quite fitting. Die. The demon suddenly attacked him without any warning. Demon sealing strike. A powerful and threatening aura that the demon couldn't comprehend erupted from Tian Chenyu's body. What is this feeling? My skin is crawling. Is it because of his aura? I don't like this feeling one bit. This is the demon's first time experiencing such an eerie feeling, but it didn't understand why. After all, it's never experienced the feeling of fear before. And because of its ignorance, the demon did not even bother to avoid Tian Chenyu's attacks. This feeling. It's becoming more intensive, becoming more uncomfortable. The demon suddenly halted its movements. I cannot move my body. When it looked down, the demon could see that its right leg had completely turned into stone. What did you do to my body, livestock? What did you do? The demon roared. How annoying. This is the 3rd time I've heard such a question today. Tian Chenyu snorted. The 3rd time. The demon's eyes widened with shock upon realizing something. You. Don't tell me that you had. A wide smile appeared on Tian Chenyu's face as he spoke. Don't worry, I took care of them before coming to you. You bastard. A mere livestock. How dare you defy us? Tian Chenyu shoved his sword into the demon's mouth in the middle of its outcry. Shut up, you're too loud. And without any hesitation, Tian Chenyu poured demon sealing aura into the demon's body through the sword stuck inside its throat. Once the demon was completely sealed, Tian Chenyu began making his way back home, where his parents were anxiously waiting for him. Chenyu, you're fine. His mother immediately went to embrace him. I'm sorry for making you worry. What happened to the other demons? Tian Aowei asked him. I took care of them. They won't be able to hurt anyone else for a long time. I hope. You hope. Tian Aowei raised his eyebrows. Anyways, let's sit down and talk. I have something I need to tell you guys. Why you want to talk? Right now? Why don't you get some rest first? You seem tired. His mother said. Tian Chenyu pondered for a moment before nodding, sure. He then returned to his room to rest for the remainder of the day. While Tian Chenyu rested, the entire city was in an uproar about the demon's invasion. And above all, they were confused by the outcome. The 3 demons that invaded their city had somehow turned into stone, something that has never happened before. Nobody saw what happened because they were all hiding inside their homes, but news of the demons turning into stone began spreading throughout the city like wildfire, and it would eventually make its way to the nearby cities. Once cultivators from outside the city heard of the rumors, they made their way to Tian Chenyu's city to see the sealed demons for themselves. Who did this to the demons? This question would become the most asked question in the city for the next few years. Eventually, peak experts from all over the world would visit the city to study the sealed demons, and to find the person responsible for the demons, as they believed that this person could help them fight the demons and stop their terror. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. However, this would not happen until Tian Chenyu had long left the city. The following day after Tian Chenyu sealed the 3 demons, he approached his parents and said to them, Mother, Father, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. What's wrong, Chenyu? Are you okay? His mother asked him, feeling that something was wrong about his behavior. I have made a decision that you might not support but must be done. Tian Chenyu said. And he continued, I have decided to erase all demons from this world. And in order to do that, I must leave home and go on a long, long journey. I don't know how long it will take or if I will ever return. And I know that this will make you unhappy, but I must do this. Erase all demons from this world? Do you have any idea what you're saying, Chinyu? There's no way that's possible. His mother exclaimed. Whether it is possible or not, we won't know until I try. Even if it's impossible, I still have to try. Tian Chinyu remained firm on his decision. No. I won't allow it. This family is already crumbling as it is. If you leave, it will truly be destroyed. Dear. Tian Aowei placed his hand on her shoulder and shook his head. Chinyu is no longer a child. If he's decided on a path, it is our duty as his parents to support it, even if we cannot comprehend it. In fact, this might be the only way for his heart to heal. Even if you say that, he'll die. Are you really fine with letting him walk a path that's clear suicide? He won't die. I believe in him. He's already defeated 3 demons by himself after all. If anyone can defeat the demon clan, it's him. Tian Aowei then turned to look at Tian Chinyu and said, Can you leave us alone for a bit? I will talk it out with your mother. Okay. Tian Chinyu didn't say anything else and left his parents alone. Once they were alone, Tian Aowei began trying to convince his wife to let their son leave. Many hours later, they went to see Tian Chinyu, who was patiently waiting for them in his room. We've come to a conclusion. Tian Aowei said. Chinyu. Here, take this. His mother suddenly handed him a silver ring. Tian Chinyu didn't ask any questions and accepted it. It's a spatial ring. It's a treasure often used by cultivators to store their luggage while they travel. It'll make your traveling a lot more convenient. Does this mean? Yes, we both approve of your journey. His mother nodded with a gentle smile on her face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 888. Published at 26th of April, 2022, 8:18 and 19 seconds AM. Chapter 888. 888. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 888. The beginning of an everlasting legend. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Mother. I will not let you down. Tian Chinyu clenched the spatial ring in his grasp with teary eyes. Don't lose it, Chinyu. Since it was created for cultivators, it was extremely expensive. We'll probably have nothing but plain rice to eat for the rest of the month because of that ring. His father said in a joking tone. And he continued, Also, you don't need to feel bad about leaving us behind. You're leaving for a great cause. Go out there and make a name for yourself so that we can brag about our son to our neighbors. Your father is right, Chinyu. I was only thinking about myself before and didn't consider your feelings, so you don't have to worry about me. Although I would be lying if I said that I won't be lonely and sad with you gone. It's nothing I cannot handle. Tian Chinyu nodded. I won't leave immediately, so until I leave, allow me to make up for the past 20 years as much as I can, he said a moment later. Thus, Tian Chinyu began spending all of his time with his parents until the fateful day of his departure. Have you heard? The entire city is going crazy over the demons you defeated. Tian Aowei laughed as they ate dinner that night. I have this incredible urge to tell everyone that it was my son who did it, but I doubt anyone would even believe me. Father, Mother, I should have told you this earlier, but you shouldn't reveal the truth to anyone. It could bring you trouble. The demons will also start looking for the one who's responsible sooner or later. Tian Chinyu warned them with a serious expression. Don't worry, we won't say anything. We're not that dumb. A week later, Tian Chinyu finished packing for his journey and said his final goodbyes to his parents before leaving the city. Go make our ancestors proud, Chinyu. His father said after hugging him. We'll miss you very much. Make sure to send us letters whenever you can. His mother said as she hugged him. Goodbye, Father. Goodbye, Mother. He bid them farewell with teary eyes. After leaving the city, Tian Chinyu walked to this massive graveyard that was located about 10 miles away. Once he found the gravesite he was looking for, Tian Chinyu kneeled before it and placed a wreath made of white flowers onto the tombstone. I know I am a little late, but I couldn't bring myself to see you after what happened until now. I hope you'll forgive me, Ai Rong. Tianqinyu proceeded to spend many hours talking to Ai Rong at her gravesite, telling her about his plans for the future, and everything that he wanted but couldn't tell her before. Hey, Ai Rong, do you believe in reincarnation? I know this may sound silly, but I believe in it, and I believe that we will see each other again one day. Bien de Nouvelle, I promise that no matter how long it takes that I will find you. And when I do, I will make you my wife, if you're willing to forgive me and still love me by then. And before I find you, there is something I must do. I must first cleanse this world of demons. I don't know how long it'll take or if it's even possible, but I will do my best. The next time we see each other, it will be in the flesh. I love you, Ai Rong. Until next time. Once he was satisfied, Tianqinyu stood up and took one last look at Ai Rong's tombstone before turning around and leaving the graveyard to go on his journey. Unbeknownst to countless people, this was the beginning of an everlasting legend. And shortly after Tianqinyu left his home, he would make a name for himself by sealing demons wherever he went. But nobody would actually know his true identity until many years later. Yuan, we're ready. Wang Ming's voice suddenly resounded from the backyard, waking Yuan from his daze. He stopped playing his zither and responded, I will be there in a minute. After wiping the tears that had been dripping down his face for a while now, Yuan stowed Azure's zither in the closet and made his way to the backyard where the others were gathered with their weapons. Besides Meishio and Chu Liuxiang, I believe this will be your first time seeing a demon. Google Bien de Nouvelle, it's going to be horrifying at first, and you might even feel like running away, but remember, as long as I am here you'll be safe. Yuan said to them. Run away? I doubt it. Wang Ming said. Don't underestimate demons, Wang Ming. You'll understand what I mean when you see one. Yuan shook his head. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. All right. He nodded. Sometime later, the manager arrived at their backyard while pushing a cart that was carrying a tall wooden box. Hey, race your demon. The manager began glaring at Yuan the moment she arrived. Thank you, Leah. I thought I already told you to not call me by my name? She frowned. Oh really? I'm sorry, I must have forgotten. Search Bien de Nouvelle. Yuan chuckled, which only irritated her even more. He approached the wooden box a moment later and retrieved the demon from it. That's a demon? Wang Ming swallowed nervously after seeing the demon's hideous appearance. If you're scared now, just wait until it is released from its seal. Yuan said with a smile. What are you going to do now? The manager asked him a moment later. Just watch. Yuan carried the sealed demon with his chi manifestation, placing it in the middle of the training field. Demon sealing zone. He then created a demon sealing zone that was around 75 meters in diameter with the demon at the center of it. Alright everybody, I am going to give you a briefing on what's about to happen. Yuan gestured for the others to gather around him near the demon. They swallowed nervously and approached Yuan and the ominous-looking demon. Once everyone was gathered, Yuan began briefing them in a casual tone that made it seem like they were only going for a stroll in the park. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 889. Published at 27th of April, 2022, 8:27 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 889. 889. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 889. Practice tool. Once I unseal the demon, the 9 of you will attack the demon and try to seal it again. The stronger your demon sealing aura, the quicker you will seal the demon. Once you're all confident in fighting the demon together, I will be splitting you all into smaller groups. Eventually, I want you guys to be able to fight the demons by yourself. Yuan said to them. By ourselves. Sherlang swallowed nervously. One more thing. The demon will obviously be fighting back. As long as its attack won't cause any lethal damage, I won't stop it, so don't expect me to help you block every strike. I will give you all a couple more minutes to prepare before I unseal the demon. How are we going to do this? Wang Ming asked the others. Who knows? Let's just attack it whenever we get the chance. Shirlang shrugged. Yuan, we're ready. Shimorong said to him sometime later. All right. I am going to unseal the demon now. Brace yourselves. Right before he unsealed the demon, Yuan wore a mask over his face. This puzzled the others, but they didn't have the time to ask him any questions, as the demon was freed from its seal the next moment. I am finally free. Ahaha. The demon immediately began laughing the moment it left its seal. Fuck. Wang Ming and the others could feel all of their strength and the courage they'd built up leaving their body when they felt the demon's bloodthirsty aura and heard its chilling voice. Their bodies trembled uncontrollably, and their hearts throbbed erratically, like they were on the verge of having a heart attack. What are you all doing? Stop standing there and attack it. Someone suddenly shouted at them, but it wasn't Yuan. Instead, it was Chu Liuxiang, who was the first to make a move. After shouting at the others, she held her palms towards the demon and released a blast of demon-sealing aura at it. The demon stopped laughing after Chu Luxiang's attack struck it right in its face, blowing half of its face away. Once it recovered the next second, the demon turned to look at her and narrowed its eyes. Humans? No. Demon sealers. As if I'd let you seal me again after I just broke out of my seal. The demon roared before running at Chu Liuxiang. Whoosh. An arrow that was enchanted with demon sealing aura suddenly flew at the demon from behind and stabbed it right in the back of its head. However, the demon ignored Meixia's attack and continued to run at Chu Liuxiang. Stand back. Li Jinxi suddenly appeared before the demon and fearlessly blocked its path to Chu Liuxiang. She swung her large sword at it, but the demon avoided it with ease. Wang Ming and the others also snapped out of their daze and began attacking the demon together. A bunch of weaklings. So damn annoying. The demon roared. However, there was not much it could do to fight back, as it was severely outnumbered 9-1. After 15 minutes of relentless attacking from the demon sealing faction, the demon was finally sealed again. Seeing that the demon was finally sealed, Wang Ming and a few others immediately fell on their butt and began gasping for air. What do you think? Fighting a real demon? Yuan asked them afterward. I'm exhausted mentally. I didn't think there would be such a vast difference between a sealed demon and an unsealed one. Shirlang said. I did warn you. Yuan smiled. Anyways, take an hour to rest. I will split you all into 2 groups, and you'll fight the demon again then. While the others rested, the manager approached Yuan and began shouting at him. You're using the demon as a practice tool. Are you insane? You said that you'd take care of the demon as soon as possible. Calm down. I have the demon and the situation under control. It won't be able to leave my demon sealing zone. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Also, this training is necessary for them. After all, what will happen to this world if I suddenly die? If I train them, this world won't be hopeless without me. Of course, I don't plan on dying before I erase all demons from this world, but you never know what fate has planned for you. Anyways, do you want to join them? I can teach you demon sealing techniques so that you can also fight demons. Yuan suddenly suggested. You want me to? The manager looked at him with wide eyes. What's wrong? The Lord asked for my help because neither of you can kill demons, right? If that's the case, it won't work. The manager suddenly interrupted. Huh? What do you mean? If I could learn demon sealing techniques, I would have learned them long ago. The manager said. So you tried to learn demon sealing techniques with the Qi family, but failed. Huh? Don't worry, I am different from the Qi family. If you study under my instructions, even a mortal can. I said it's impossible. The manager said, and without explaining further, she turned around and walked away. Yuan immediately began pondering in silence about the manager's words. There's only one reason why someone cannot learn demon sealing techniques. I see. So that's why? A profound smile appeared on his face when he realized the truth. The manager stared at Yuan with a frown on her face. Why is he smiling? Did he realize it? No, that's impossible. There's no way. She thought to herself. An hour later, Yuan split the demon sealing faction into 2 groups. First group will be Chu Liuxiang, Li Jinxi Shimorong, and Hong Xiuquan. The The second group will be everyone else. Yuan said. The first group will go first. Everyone else, you can wait outside the demon sealing zone for your turn. Whenever you guys are ready. Once the first group was ready, Yuan unsealed the demon again. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 890. Published at 28th of April, 2022, 8:04 and 58 seconds AM. Chapter 890. Chapter 890. Backlash: if audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 890. Backlash: what is the meaning of this, humans? The demon roared when it was unsealed for the second time. Nothing much. I just figured you could assist me in training my friends. If you can defeat my friends, I will let you walk free. Yuan said. You think I will help livestocks like demon sealing pulse? Chu Liuxiang shot a wave of demon sealing aura at the demon, creating a hole in its chest. You fucking livestocks. How dare you mess with me? The demon released its loudest roar yet. Its body suddenly began growing larger, and its killing intent soared. It was enraged. The demon is enraged. It will now be much stronger than before, and it will also take more effort to seal. Yuan warned them. Demon sealing strike. Li Jinsi approached the demon and confronted it with her great sword. Although there was still a hint of fear within her eyes, she was able to suppress it. While Li Jinsi fought the demon, keeping its attention on her, Hong Xiuquan and Shi Morong would support her by attacking the demon from its blind spots. As for Chu Liuxiang, she would attack whenever possible from afar. They have pretty good teamwork despite this being their first day fighting together. Yuan thought to himself as he watched them fight. But they will need more than that to defeat the demon this time around. Bang! Li Jinsi was suddenly sent flying by the demon's attack. Jinsi, are you okay? Shi Morong shouted as he took over her spot. Yes, I am fine. I just wasn't expecting so much power from it. Looks like I will have to get a little serious as well. Li Jinsi's body suddenly began emitting a red aura. That technique. She's using it now. What if she goes on a rampage like before? Wang Ming exclaimed. She'll defeat both the demon and the others at this rate. Shi Lang cried out loud. Yuan, you need to stop her before she goes crazy. Wang Bingbing said to him. Huh? What's wrong with her? Yuan asked. You don't remember what happened at the tournament? She will go crazy if she uses that technique for too long. When that happens, all hell will break loose. At least that's what her family told us before we left. Really? It looked like she had complete control over it during the disciple examination. Yuan said. That's in a video game and this is real life. I'm sure you can do things in that you can't do here, right? Alright, I will stop her if things get out of hand. For now, let's just see where this goes. Don't forget, I stopped her during the competition. Yuan smiled. Okay. Meanwhile, Li Jinsi continued to pressure the demon, deflecting all of its attack with her raw strength. What should we do? Hong Xiuquan turned to look at Shi Morong. Why are you asking me? There's nothing we can do when she's like that. We'll only get in her way. In fact, she might even attack us if we get too close. Shi Morong shrugged. Unbelievable. She's already fighting the demon all by herself. She's truly talented. Chu Liuxiang mumbled in a dazed voice. About 10 minutes later, the demon stopped moving, as it turned into stone. Li Jinsi had managed to seal the demon all by herself. Wow, she really did it. Wang Ming mumbled in awe. However, Li Jinsi wasn't finished. Watch out! Chu Liuxiang suddenly shouted. Huh. Shi Morong turned around to see Li Jinsi running at him with her sword in the air, her eyes filled with bloodlust. I knew it. Yuan. Wang Bingbing turned to look at him, but he was already on the move. Clang. Yuan appeared before Shi Morong to block Li Jinsi with the Empyrean Overlord. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Wake up. Yuan swung his sword, sending Li Jinsi flying out the demon sealing zone. Aya! Li Jinsi roared. and her red aura started going even more out of control. However, before she could cause any more harm to herself, Yuan used his movement technique to appear in front of her and gave her a good punch in the stomach, instantly knocking her unconscious. After catching Li Jinxi's body, Yuan said to the others, "We'll stop here for today and continue our training tomorrow." Thank God. Wang Ming sighed in relief after hearing such words. "I'm going to bring Jinxi back to her room," Yuan said as he carried her like a princess. "You're going to leave the demon out here just like that? That's insane." The manager approached him as he tried to leave. "Don't worry, the demon won't go anywhere. It'll remain sealed for a week with the strength of Jinxi's demon sealing aura," Yuan said. "Absolutely not. I will not leave here until you kill that demon," the manager exclaimed. "Be my guest. We have plenty of empty rooms in our household." Yuan chuckled. "Why you? Unbelievable." The manager stomped her feet in anger. Sometime later, Yuan placed Li Jinxi on her bed so that she could rest. However, right as he prepared to leave, he started hearing noises coming from behind, and it sounded like someone was groaning in pain. "Jinxi, are you okay? What's happening to you?" Yuan rushed back to her side when he noticed that she was soaked in sweat. "It hurts," she muttered in a low voice. "Is this a backlash from using her technique? This didn't happen before." After pondering for a second, Yuan rushed out of the room to find someone from the 6 spiritual families. He quickly ran into Wang Bingbing. "Something's wrong with Jinxi. She's sweating buckets, and she appears to be in pain." "What? It must be due to the technique that she used earlier. Senior Li warned us about it. That she might experience some backlash if she used it. What should we do to calm her down?" Yuan then asked. "I don't know. Senior Li didn't mention it, but I will immediately call her family. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 891. Published at 28th of April, 2022, 12:48 and 13 seconds p.m. Chapter 891. 891 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 891. Massage. Hello. Senior Li? It's me, Wang Bingbing. Oh, it's been. This is an emergency, Senior Li. Li Jinxi. She's currently experiencing a backlash from using her weird technique that you warned us about. What? Why did that foolish child use that technique? It's a long story, but right now, I need you to tell me what we can do to calm her down. Right. Her muscles right now should be pulsating, almost like there are worms wiggling inside her body. Can you see it? Senior Li asked. Yes, I see it. Wang Bingbing said. This is the result of Li Jinxi enhancing her muscles far past their limits. In order to calm her down, you must relax her muscles. Massage her body, and then let her body simmer in hot water until she's fully recovered. If you have any medical leaves around, soak them in the hot water for a better effect. Okay. Thank you, Senior Li. I will call you back once things calm down. Wang Bingbing said before closing the connection. Did you hear all of that? She turned to look at Yuan. Yes, I heard him loud and clear. I will fill the bath with hot water. In the meantime, can you massage her body? He asked her. I don't know how to do massages, but I can try. You just squeeze their muscles with strength, right? Wang Bingbing swallowed nervously before she started massaging Li Jinxi's arms that felt incredibly weird. Yuan, I don't think this is helping. Her muscles feel incredibly stiff, like I am massaging rocks instead of muscles. Wang Bingbing called for help. Yuan said, Alright, switch with me. I will see what I can do. After switching places with Wang Bingbing, Yuan pondered as he inspected Li Jinxi's condition. Her muscles feel like stones, huh? Let's try this. Yuan began massaging Li Jinxi's body starting with her arms. How do you feel? Yuan asked her a few moments later. Be better, she uttered. Good, then this is working. A few moments later, Wang Bingbing asked him from the bathroom. Yuan, any results? Yes, it's working. She's getting better. Really? I'll be with you in a minute. Once she was finished with filling the bathtub, Wang Bingbing returned to the bedroom to check on them. How are you doing this? I hope you're not using brute force. She swallowed nervously when she saw how causally Yuan made it seem like massaging Li Jinxi. Of course not. I am not really using my fingers to massage her muscles. I am using my spiritual energy to guide her muscles instead, to loosen it. Where did you learn how to do such a thing? Wang Bingbing asked him with great curiosity. He said with a smile. Sometime later, once Yuan finished massaging Li Jinxi's arm, he moved to other parts of her body until all of her limbs were relaxed. All right, I think she's ready for the bath, Yuan said. Wait! Li Jinxi suddenly grabbed his hand, and she continued. Massage here, as well. Using her free hand, Li Jinxi ripped her shirt right off her body, revealing her bare chest to them. Ah! Yuan raised his eyebrows and turned to face Wang Bingbing. Don't worry, this is to relieve her pain. I will also be here, so there won't be any misunderstandings. All right. Yuan said nothing else and started massaging Li Jinxi's body. About 10 minutes later, Wang Bingbing carried Li Jinxi into the bathroom to soak in hot water. I will wait outside, Yuan said as they entered the bathroom. Thank you, Li Jinxi mumbled in a low voice. Maybe you'll think twice before using that weird technique again. Wang Bingbing smiled. I don't understand. I was able to use it without any problems in cultivation online. I thought it would be fine if I started using it out here now. But visit Rietal me for extra chapters. Don't worry too much about it. I'm sure you'll eventually be able to use that technique without any backlash, Wang Bingbing said. After spending about 2 hours soaking in the bathtub, Li Jinxi recovered from her backlash. How are you feeling? Yuan asked. I am feeling fine. Thank you for the massage, and I'm sorry for causing you trouble. I won't use that technique again. Actually, I want you to continue using that technique. I want you to practice your control with that technique, Yuan said, dumbfounding them. Why you want her to continue using that technique? But that would, Wang Bingbing stared at him with wide eyes. No, she will only experience a backlash if she goes overboard with the technique. As long as she maintains control over it, she will be fine. Why? Why do you want me to? Li Jinxi asked with a puzzled face. You don't want to? Oh, I am not forcing you. If you don't want to master that technique, which will, without doubt, make you much stronger, I will do it, Li Jinxi quickly said. I want to become stronger. I want to be able to use that technique without feeling pain afterward. Can you help me? Yuan nodded. I will help you to the best of my abilities, but it's not going to be easy. You might even experience more backlashes during your training. Are you prepared for that? Yes, I am prepared. If I experience any backlashes, you'll be there to massage me, right? Of course. He nodded. Wang Bingbing witnessed their casual conversation with her mouth wide open. How can they say such shameless things to each other without being embarrassed about it? She wondered inwardly. Get some rest. Yuan and Wang Bingbing left Li Jinxi alone shortly after. I'm going to call Senior Li to let him know that everything is fine now, Wang Bingbing said. All right. You should get some rest too. Your group will be fighting the demon first thing tomorrow morning, after all, Yuan said with a smile. I completely forgot about that. I will see you later at dinner. Of course. Wang Bingbing nodded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 892. Published at 28th of April, 2022, 6:18 and 21 seconds p.m. Chapter 892. 892. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 892. Manager's true nature. Before she even started cooking dinner, Meishio approached Yuan and asked him, You know the manager has been standing in our backyard this entire time, right? I think she's guarding the demon. Maybe we should invite her for dinner? I doubt she'll even want to join us, but I will ask her just in case. Okay, I will leave her to you. I will go prepare for dinner now. Once Meishio left, Yuan went to the training area to confront the manager. You'll catch a cold if you stand out here for too long. Why don't you come inside and have dinner with us? Mixie is a great cook. The manager slowly turned to look at him with a cold expression on her face. I have an even better idea. Why don't you hurry up and kill the demon so that I can go back home and eat my own dinner? Why are you so worried about the demon? I have already promised you that there won't be any problems. The demon is sealed, and I will use it to train my friends for the next few days. Once that is done, I will kill it and move on to the next demon. Why don't you use the other demons to train your friends? There are 11 demons in total. You can train for a total of 11 days if you use a demon once a day. The manager then asked. Yuan smiled and said, we need to tackle this at a certain pace. They just had their first experience fighting a demon today. In fact, this is their first time seeing a real demon that's not sealed. If we rush this, it will only do more harm than good. After a moment of silence from the manager, she spoke in a grim voice. The fact that you're taking this situation so lightly proves to me that you know nothing about demons or what they are truly capable of. I know nothing about demons? Yuan couldn't help but chuckle at her claims. What's so funny? If you knew the true horror of demons, you wouldn't be acting so casually. There is nobody in this world that knows more about demons than me. Yuan said. Where does your confidence come from? Just like how I don't really know anything about you or the Lord, you also don't know anything about me. Give me a few days. I will prove to you that I have the situation completely under control. In the meantime, why don't you relax a little and come eat dinner with us? If you waste Mixie's effort and the food she cooked for you, I will tell everyone about your true nature. My true nature? What do you know about me? The manager suddenly shouted at him. A profound smile appeared on Yuan's face as he responded in a calm voice. Qifeng told me. You may act all serious and careful in public, but you're really just a lazy woman who'd rather lay in her bed all day watching television. The manager's face immediately flushed with redness after hearing his words. As she told you that? That good-for-nothing loudmouth. The next time I see her, I will definitely. Let's go, Leah. I'm getting cold and hungry. Yuan said to her as he began making his way back to the house. How many times do I have to tell you to not call me by that name? The manager frowned. Once Yuan left the scene, the manager released a sigh of relief. He startled me for a second there. I really thought he knew about that. Sometime later, everyone gathered at the dining table for dinner. Where's the manager? Meishio asked Yuan after they sat down. The door opened at this moment, and the manager slowly walked into the dining room before taking a seat at the table with everyone else. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Thank you for coming. Yuan smiled at her. After dinner, Yuan said to everyone there, I must say you all performed much better than I anticipated today. At this rate, you'll all become expert demon sealers in no time. However, with that being said, I noticed some mistakes that some of you made. I will now tell you those mistakes, so listen up and try to learn from it. Wang Ming, I know demons are very ugly and hard to look at, but you must look at them while you're confronting one. I noticed that you tried to avoid eye contact with the demon as much as possible today. That will easily get you killed if you're fighting a demon alone. Shi Lang, that also applies to you. Your movements today are quite sluggish. Your movements during regular training are a whole level better compared to your performance today. Jinxi, you're too aggressive with your attacks. You use too much strength when you swing your sword. Remember, it's your demon sealing aura that damages the demons, not your strength. Meishio, you need to stop holding back. I know that it could be a little hard to shoot the demon with a bow and arrow when the others are fighting it at close range, but you subconsciously hold yourself back even when you have a clear shot. On the other hand, Lulu, you need to learn how to hold back. You're using too much energy even when it isn't necessary. Yuan continued to speak until everybody that participated in the training today was lectured. Now that you all know what you did wrong, I want you to keep it in mind and learn from it. I must admit, Yuan, I never knew you were such a good teacher. Where'd you learn such a skill? Wu Zhao asked him after their lecture. I wouldn't call that teaching. I'm just pointing out what I saw. That's all. I don't qualify to be called a teacher. He shook his head. No need to be humble, Yuan. We know a good lecturer when we see one. You could easily become a top lecturer at the Jaded Garden if you worked there. Wang Ming said. After talking with each other for a few more minutes and cleaning up the place, everyone but Yuan and the manager retired to their rooms. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 893. Published at 29th of April, 2022, 7:27 and 35 seconds p.m. Chapter 893. Chapter 893. Explosion. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 893. Explosion. We have a fully furnished guest room if you really intend on staying here tonight. Yuan said to the manager, and pointed at a certain room down the hallway. I don't need any room. The manager said, and she proceeded to leave the building, returning to the training area with the sealed demon. Does she really intend on staying out there the whole night? It makes me feel kind of guilty. Chu Liuxiang asked out loud as she looked at the manager's lonely figure through the window in their room. Let her do as she pleases. It's not like I didn't offer her a room. Yuan said. The following morning, after a light breakfast, everyone gathered at the training area. Since we stopped with the first group yesterday, the second group will start things off today. Meixiu Wang Ming, Shilang Wang Bingbing, and Wu Zhao. You're up. Yuan said to them. Once they were prepared after a short warm-up, Yuan removed the seal on the demon for the third time. Fucking livestocks. How dare you mess with me? The demon immediately became enraged the moment it came out of its seal. Let's go. Wang Ming was the first to act, followed by Shilang. After Yuan's lecture yesterday, they focused on trying to suppress their fear towards the demon as they confronted it. Of course, it was easier said than done, and they were still overwhelmed by fear for the first few minutes. However, as they fought the demon, their fear began to reduce, allowing them to fight more efficiently. Wang Ming's sword attacks were sharp and powerful. Shilang was incredibly precise with his spear. The two of them danced beside each other in front of the demon to keep it at bay from the others, who would attack the demon from its blind spot. Because of their near-perfect teamwork, the demon could barely retaliate, and when it would try to retaliate, an arrow would appear from its blind spot and blow a hole in its face, halting its movements for a second, which is enough for the others to catch their breath and continue their onslaught. After 10 minutes of relentless effort from Group 2, the demon became sealed again. I'm exhausted. Wang Ming fell onto his but afterward. Did you guys secretly practice together? I must say your teamwork is almost impeccable. Yuan asked them. No, but if you spar enough with someone, you subconsciously predict their movements and instinctively react accordingly. Shilang said. Yes, and since we all lived in the same place, we all ended up training with each other. Wang Bingbing said. Furthermore, there are not many disciples within the Jaded Garden that could keep up with us, so we end up practicing with each other more than we like. Wang Ming sighed. I see. It makes perfect sense then. Yuan nodded. After pondering for a moment, he asked them, do you guys feel confident enough to fight the demon by yourselves now? If you're not, we can continue fighting in smaller groups. Fighting the demon alone? They all swallowed nervously at such a thought. Seeing their reaction, Yuan smiled. I guess it's still too early. After all, it's only the second day. Alright, you will continue fighting in groups, but since it's clearly too easy with your current numbers, I will split the group even smaller. The new first group will be Wang Ming, Shi Morong, and Meixiu. The second group will be Shilang, Wang Bingbing, and Lulu. The third group will be Wu Zhao, Hong Xiuquan, and Li Jinxi. After a short break, Yuan unsealed the demon and continued their training, and they would quickly realize how losing a single person in their group made it exponentially harder for them to fight the demon. They were able to seal the demon without getting hurt before, but now they're all receiving minor injuries, and it took them twice as long to seal the demon, with each group taking almost half an hour to seal the demon. Sometime later, Wang Ming lost his balance for a split second after his attack was deflected, and the demon immediately took advantage of his moment of weakness and went straight for his neck without any hesitation. Shit. Death flashed before Wang Ming's eyes. Die livestock. The demon's claw reached the skin on Wang Ming's neck and penetrated into his skin, but its entire body froze before it could really pierce his neck. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Wang Ming immediately distanced himself from the demon, and he could feel his own blood dripping down his neck afterward. Thank you, Yuan. Wang Ming said in a trembling voice. The fight isn't over yet. Yuan said to him before removing the restrictions on the demon, allowing it to move again. However, the demon didn't continue to fight. Instead, it turned to look at Yuan. What did you just do to my body? As long as you're within my demon sealing zone, I have complete control over your body. Yuan calmly responded. The demon sealing zone? The demon had been so focused on fighting the others that it didn't even realize it was trapped inside the demon sealing zone until now. I see. The demon appeared to realize its situation shortly after. If that's the case, I'd rather die than be a plaything for humans. The demon suddenly began expanding like a balloon, and its body also started burning like steel that just came out of the forge. When Yuan saw this, he immediately shouted, "All of you, get away from the demon. It's going to explode." What? The others immediately distanced themselves from the demon. Meanwhile, Yuan shrunk the demon sealing zone until it was only a few meters in diameter. Once the demon reached its limit, the crystal on its body shattered, causing its body to explode with intense spiritual energy. The entire mountain shook for a brief moment after the explosion, but because of the demon sealing zone that contained all of the impact, there was no real damage done by it and nobody was hurt. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 894. Published at 29th of April, 2022, 7:27 and 33 seconds p.m. Chapter 894. Chapter 894. Celestial Chi. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 894. Celestial Chi. Yuan, you never told us that demons could just explode like that. Shi Lang exclaimed afterward. Sorry, they rarely do that even in desperate situations, so I forgot about it. Yuan said with an apologetic smile. What the demon just did is called a core detonation. It's basically a suicide move that is very hard to stop and has the effects of a bomb. I didn't think it would kill itself so quickly, so I wasn't prepared for it. What a pity it only lasted for 2 days. With that being said, Leah, can you bring us the next demon? Yuan turned to face her. Absolutely not. You almost blew up the entire mountain. She immediately refused. That's an exaggeration. With that demon's strength, it would have blown away our house at most. Yuan said. Ridiculous. Why are you even training them? What do you hope to achieve with just a few days of training? There are only 10 demons left, and I doubt they are capable of fighting all 10 demons. Even if they can fight all 10 demons, it won't make any real difference. If it was so easy to train a demon sealer, there would be many more demon sealers in this world. After a moment of silence, Yuan spoke. Yes, you're right. Out of the remaining 10 demons, they would only be able to fight 2 of them, with the rest being way beyond their capabilities. However, you shouldn't underestimate my friends, nor my training methods. Even a day's worth of training will benefit them enormously. In fact, it could even be a difference of life and death. I don't get it. Just where are you getting your confidence from? The manager sighed, feeling as though she was talking to a wall. Of course, there was no way that the manager could have known that in one of Yuan's past lives, he was the Divine Paragon, creator of the demon sealing techniques and the founder of the demon sealing clan, where he trained tens of thousands of demon sealers. Trust me, this will only last for 2 more demons. After that, I will swiftly take care of the rest. I promise. The manager rubbed her temples for a good moment before speaking. Fine. 2 more demons. If you don't stop messing around with the demons after that, I will kill you. I promise. Thank you, Leah. Yuan smiled. Don't call. Forget it. Yuan then turned to look at the others and proceeded to lecture them about their mistakes. How do you feel, Wang Ming? Yuan asked him afterward. I'm still a little shaken. If you hadn't stopped the demon, I would have been dead now. He sighed. I'm truly pathetic. Don't think like that. You're doing very well for a new demon sealer. In fact, most demon sealers won't be able to face a real demon without months of intense training. The fact that you could fight it without running away on your first day is very impressive. This goes for all of you. I'm actually very surprised that none of you ran away. Of course, I wouldn't have blamed any of you even if you did run away. After all, I was frozen from fear when I first encountered a demon. He sighed inwardly. Anyways, let's take a break. We'll start our next training session in 2 days. Sometime later, the manager returned to the Lord to explain the situation to him. I see. So that's the real cause of the tremor just now. I thought it was another earthquake caused by the sealed demons. He's using the demons as a practice tool for the others. I must say, this is beyond my expectations. It's so bold that it's almost crazy. The Lord sighed. Should I stop him? And how are you going to do that? You might have been able to defeat him when he first arrived at the mountain, but you won't stand a chance against him now. What? You think he's stronger than me? Is it because he can kill demons and I cannot? If I could use demon sealing techniques, I would also be able to kill them. The manager exclaimed. No, his strength far exceeds his ability to kill demons. Although very faintly, I could sense celestial chi from his body during his last visit. What? Celestial chi? Impossible. He was born in this world. There's no way he could have celestial chi. The manager shouted in a voice of disbelief. It's true. I couldn't sense it from him before, but I sensed it very clearly during his last visit. He must have awakened his celestial chi somehow. Do you have any idea? Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The manager pondered for a good moment before shaking her head. The only thing I can think of is the incident that happened to him at the Chi family, but it's highly unlikely. It was after our visit to the Chi family that he started acting differently. So something happened to him after he returned, huh? What could have happened in such a short time? I cannot even imagine. Sometime later the Lord spoke. Anyways, continue monitoring him. We need to be certain that we can trust him. Okay. The manager nodded. What's wrong? You seem worried about something. The Lord suddenly asked. Actually, I might be overthinking this, but I have this feeling that he somehow knows of our secret. She sighed. What? How is that possible? Did you do something that could have revealed it? No. I didn't say or do anything. The manager suddenly stopped talking and held a dazed look on her face. I told him that I couldn't learn demon sealing techniques out of frustration. That's also around the time when I started having this feeling. There's no way he could have realized the truth just from that alone, right? The manager said in a worried voice. It's possible. I'm sorry. The manager sighed. What's done is already done. And we don't really know if he realized our secret or not. Just continue to monitor him, but don't try to probe his knowledge. You might end up telling him the truth, which would be quite comical if he doesn't actually know anything. The Lord said. Okay. The manager nodded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip. You can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 895. Published at 30th of April, 2022, 11:27 and 8 seconds AM. Chapter 895. 895. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 895. Strength of the 11 demons. After their training with the demon ended, Li Jinxi approached Yuan, who went to pick up the demon core left behind by the demon, and said to him, I don't need to rest. I want to practice my technique. I like your enthusiasm, but you should rest today. You've already spent the entire morning fighting with the demon. You need to let your muscles rest before you start practicing that technique. Yuan said to her. Then tomorrow. Yes, we'll start tomorrow. Okay. Do you have some kind of special training for her? Chu Liuxiang asked him. Not really. I'm only there to make sure she doesn't hurt herself too much. After all, I'm the only one in this place who can stop her when she goes on a rampage. He said. I see. Anyways, I'm going to take a bath and practice my demon sealing technique some more. Want to join me in the bath? She calmly asked him, almost as though it was a normal routine to bathe together. Sure. Yuan nodded his head without hesitation. Meanwhile, inside a luxurious restaurant somewhere in spirit heaven, the sect master of the Universal Music Academy, Sun Hao, sat before the patriarch of the Gu family. It's been a while, Patriarch Gu. I hope your family has been well. Sun Hao greeted. Indeed, it's been a few years. My family is doing well. I hope my nephew is not causing any troubles in your sect. If he is, don't hesitate to tell me. I will give him a good scolding. The two of them laughed for a good moment. Anyways, I heard you have some information on the people that robbed my Gu family. Although it happened in the lower heaven, it is still a fact that they are a Gu family. No matter where it occurred, I cannot allow such insolence towards the Gu family. Indeed. The person responsible for robbing your Gu family is someone named Yuan, is that correct? That's the information we had received from the lower heavens. Patriarch Gu nodded. Well, I happened to meet that bastard a couple of days ago when he severed my arm. Sun Hao pointed at his missing left arm. What? Patriarch Gu's eyes widened with surprise. I heard about what happened at the disciple examination. It was a tragedy. What a coincidence that the person who harmed you also happened to be the same person that robbed my Gu family. However, it makes sense. Truly fitting of someone so barbaric and disrespectful. Don't worry, Sect Master Sunday. I will make him pay for his crimes. I had only intended to imprison him for life, but I will now add torture to his punishment. In fact, I will remove his limbs and send them to you as a gift. That sounds like music to my ears. Sun Hao laughed merrily. Then Sect Master Sun, do you happen to know where he is currently located? Patriarch Gu suddenly asked. Unfortunately, I do not know where he is currently located, but I know where and how you can find him. Sun Hao said. And he continued. That bastard will be heading to the stairway to heaven soon. You will find him at the site, or you can surround the area and wait for him to show up. The stairway to heaven? He's planning on challenging it? Is he a spirit king? Patriarch Gu showed a look of surprise. No, he's a peak spirit lord, but you shouldn't underestimate him. In fact, treat him as though you're fighting a spirit king. You will need all of your experts if you want to deal with him, and he most likely won't be alone. Sun Hao said, purposefully not revealing to Patriarch Gu that Yuan had managed to defeat 6 sect masters of the 7 spirit academies all by himself. And it was an overwhelming defeat for them. Yes, I heard that he was traveling in a small group the last time. And there is even a spirit king amongst them. The other Gu family said that the spirit king had the appearance of a little girl. A little girl? There was a little girl with that bastard at the disciple examination. I didn't pay any attention to her due to the circumstances. To think that she was actually a spirit king, Sun Hao said. The two of them continued to chat with each other over some food and tea. About 2 hours later, Patriarch Gu returned to his family. After spending 2 days preparing for their mission, Patriarch Gu and over 1,000 people from the Gu family started making their way towards the stairway to heaven. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Of course, this alarmed the neighboring cities and sects, and they wondered if the Gu family was going to war with such incredible military power. The following day, the manager returned to the demon-sealing faction's household with another demon. This demon looks weaker than the previous one. Wang Ming said after looking at the demon's appearance. It was smaller and thinner than the last demon, after all. Don't let its appearance fool you. This demon is 3 levels stronger than the last demon. The last demon only had the strength of a peak spirit warrior cultivator. This one is around 3rd level spirit master. 3rd level spirit master? That's as strong as the strongest cultivators in our families. Wang Bingbing swallowed nervously. By the way, the next demon is around the 5th level. Yuan suddenly said. F5th level. Can we even fight that thing? Hong Xiuquan exclaimed. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible. Yuan nodded. Out of curiosity, what about the rest of the demons? There are a total of 11 demons, right? Wu Zhao asked. 3 of them have the strength of a peak spirit master. 2 of them are between the 3rd level and 4th level of spirit grandmaster. 2 more at the 6th and 7th level of spirit grandmaster. As for the last one, it has the strength of a 2nd level spirit lord. A 2nd level spirit lord? What's your cultivation again, Yuan? Wang Ming asked him in a nervous tone. 5th level spirit grandmaster. He calmly responded. What? You're 6 whole levels below the strongest demon. Are you sure that you can defeat it? Of course. He confidently responded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 896. Published at 30th of April, 2022, 11:27 and 5 seconds AM. Chapter 896. 896. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 896. Not created for humans, don't worry, it's just 6 levels. I have fought demons an entire realm stronger in. Yuan gave him a confident thumbs up. But that's where you are much more powerful and have more resources to deal with demons. Wang Ming sighed. Sometime later, Yuan said. Anyways, we'll begin training the day after tomorrow. I suggest you take this time to familiarize yourself with the demon. It will also have a much stronger aura than the previous demon, so prepare yourself mentally as well. After their briefing, Li Jinxi and Yuan went to another part of the training area, where they would not disturb the others with their training. Go ahead and use that technique whenever you're ready. However, don't just activate it. I want you to slowly increase your own strength using the technique. Remember, we're training on your control right now. Li Jinxi nodded, and she closed her eyes. After taking a deep breath, she began using her technique. At first, her body would emit a small amount of killing intent, and it would steadily increase. However, after a few moments, almost as though she lost control, the red aura began expanding rapidly. Eventually, Li Jinxi completely lost control, and she started going on a rampage. Her eyes snapped open, revealing her crimson eyes that flowed with killing intent, and she started attacking Yuan with her sword. Calm down. You can regain control. Yuan didn't immediately knock her out, and tried to calm her down. A few minutes later, without any success, Yuan decided to knock Li Jinxi unconscious. After catching her falling body, he gently laid her on the ground. This is going to be more problematic than I'd anticipated. He sighed in a low voice. Li Jinxi would wake up shortly after. Do you feel any pain? He asked her. No, I am fine. Let's continue. Li Jinxi said. Thus, they continued to train until Li Jinxi started experiencing backlash an hour later. When that happened, Yuan carried her into her room and began massaging her body. Sorry for the inconvenience, she apologized to him while she soaked in medicine. Don't worry, I don't think it's bothersome. By the way, can you tell me more about the technique? If I understand it better, perhaps I can figure out how to train you. After pondering for a moment, she nodded. Wait until I am finished. Sure. An hour later, Li Jinxi emerged from the bathtub and left the bathroom while still soaking wet. You'll catch a cold like that. Yuan smiled. I have never caught a cold before, she calmly said. Then she walked to her closet and retrieved a wooden box from inside. Here. She handed the box to Yuan afterward. Yuan raised his eyebrows and opened the box to find a scroll inside. What's this? The technique, she calmly responded. You mean the actual technique? Isn't this supposed to be your family's secret technique? Are you sure you want to hand it to me? You should consult with your family first, Yuan said in a baffled voice. He didn't expect Li Jinxi to hand him the entire technique. It's fine. Nobody in the family can use the technique, Anyway. She calmly nodded. That's not the point. Yuan smiled. It's really fine. I won't tell my family, she said. All right, I will borrow it then. Yuan returned to his room shortly after. After returning to his room, Yuan began studying Li Jinxi's mysterious technique. There's no name for this technique? Yuan realized at glance that the technique was a nameless one. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. About an hour later, Yuan placed the technique down and started to ponder. I see. It's no wonder why most people cannot learn this technique. The strain it puts on one's body is simply ludicrous. In fact, this technique, it wasn't created for humans. Yuan became even more impressed by Li Jinxi after realizing this fact. I'm surprised she managed to learn this technique. But this begs the question. Who is this technique made for? Magical beasts? Divine beasts? And how did the Li family acquire this technique? Once he understood the technique, Yuan returned to Li Jinxi, who was resting in her bed. Come inside. Li Jinxi said after hearing his knock on the door. Hey, I am finished with the technique, so I am here to return it. I learned a few things about this technique that you should be aware of. Yuan said as he placed the scroll on the desk beside her desk. You're finished with the technique already? It's only been an hour. She stared at him with a baffled look on her face as she sat up on her bed. She's still naked? Yuan thought to himself after seeing Li Jinxi's appearance when the blankets moved. He then spoke. Yes, I have a lot of questions too, but first you should know the true nature of this technique. This nameless technique. It wasn't made for humans. Huh? Li Jinxi raised her eyebrows. Not made for humans? Is that why nobody else in my family could learn it? But how come I can learn it? Does this mean I'm not human? Li Jinxi looked more curious and fascinated than terrified at the possibility that she wasn't human. No, you're definitely human. The reason you're able to learn the technique is due to your unique physique. I noticed this when I massaged your body, but your muscles and bones are naturally beyond human capabilities, which allows your body to endure much more stress than normally capable. However, since you're human, you won't be able to fully utilize the technique's full capabilities, at least not in your current state. I see. Is this also why I have backlashes? Li Jinxi then asked. Yes. He nodded. Then what should I do? Since it's related to your physique, you must continue to strengthen your body. I believe that will be your fastest way to master this technique. The next is your control. As long as you can control the technique so that it doesn't exceed your limits, you won't experience any backlashes. But I have been doing that since I started cultivating, she said. Yes, but have you ever been pushed to your absolute limits? He asked. Pushed to my limits. Li Jinxi raised her eyebrows in a questioning manner. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 897. Published at 2nd of May, 2022, 12:09 and 21 seconds p.m. Chapter 897. 897. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 897. Training. Yes. Have you ever been pushed to the point where you could not even lift a single finger? Have you ever been so exhausted that you thought you'd die by running out of breath? Have you ever risked your life in training? Yuan asked. Li Jinxi pondered for a moment before shaking her head. No, not really. You can achieve immense growth in a short period of time if you continue to push yourself to your very limit every day. Of course, this could actually damage one's body, but this only applies to ordinary people. Jinxi, you have an amazing body, a physique blessed by the heavens. If anyone should train in such a manner, it should be you. However, it's not going to be easy. You will experience intense pain. Hell, you might even die. I want to do it. Li Jinxi responded without hesitation. Even if you might die? She nodded. Yuan smiled. Although nobody knows about it, had almost died hundreds of times inside his room during his 20 years of seclusion. There were times when he wanted to quit and sleep eternally, but he would always get back up and train until he was at death's door. But because of his insane and reckless training, he was able to acquire the strength to defeat demons in such a short time. How does your body feel right now? Yuan asked her a moment later. A little sore, but that's it. Good. Get dressed and meet me in the training area. We're going to continue your training. Yes. Sometime later, they returned to the training area. Use the nameless technique and attack me. I won't just be avoiding and defending this time. Li Jinsi nodded and activated the nameless technique, causing her bloodlust to reappear. However, before she could even make a move, Yuan suddenly dashed forward and threw a powerful punch at her face. Li Jinsi subconsciously blocked the attack with her sword, but she was still sent flying by the impact. So strong. What are you doing? Hurry up and focus. Fight me. Try to kill me. Yuan shouted as he approached her again. Li Jinsi clenched her teeth and started attacking him with the intention to kill. However, Yuan suddenly released his killing intent, halting her movements for a brief second. Yuan used this chance to connect his fist with her stomach, sending her flying for a second time. After stabilizing herself, Li Jinsi immediately puked out everything she ate for breakfast. She lifted her head a moment later to look at Yuan, who was slowly approaching her with an immense amount of killing intent flowing from his body. Her entire body trembled in fear. For the first time in her life, she was fearing for her life. Get up. You will never achieve your full potential with such half-assed effort. Yuan shouted at her, snapping her out of her daze. Eh. Li Jinsi stood up and released a war cry before running at him again. What the hell are they doing? The manager watched them from a distance with a puzzled face. She thought they were training at first, but it looked too brutal to be training, and Yuan was pummeling Li Jinsi like she had killed his family. Due to the loud nature of their training, the others also noticed the commotion in the training area, and they were all shocked by what they saw. Holy shit! What's happening? Why are they going at each other's throat? Wang Ming asked the others. I'm not sure. Should we stop them and ask for an explanation? Wang Bingbing said. They're probably training. Chu Liuxiang said. You call that training? It looks like a one-sided beatdown to me. Shi Lang said. God. I have never seen Li Jinsi in such a beaten state before. She looks like she's on the verge of death. Shi Murong mumbled in a dazed voice. In the end, nobody went to stop them. They believed in Yuan and Li Jinsi, that they had a good reason to be fighting each other in such a manner. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. The training lasted for 3 whole hours, stopping when Li Jinsi was covered in her own blood and completely unconscious. Of course, Li Jinsi had lost consciousness a couple of times during the 3 hours, but they only lasted for a brief moment, and she would continue to train immediately after waking up. As Yuan carried her seemingly lifeless body back to the house, everyone rushed to him. What the hell happened, Yuan? Wang Ming was the first to ask. HM? We were only training. He calmly said. Training? It looked like you wanted to kill her, Shi Lang said. Yuan smiled and said, I will explain everything to you after I get her cleaned up. I will help you. Meishio said. Okay. Thank you. After Yuan brought Li Jinsi back to her room, Meishio helped wash her body. Sometime later, after putting Li Jinsi in her bed, Yuan returned to the others and explained the situation to them. The technique she had been using wasn't created for humans? Wow, that's unexpected. I never knew that such a thing even existed. Wu Zhao said. I get that you're trying to push Li Jinsi to her limit, but that would be pointless if she becomes bedridden for the next week, right? Wang Ming asked. Yuan smiled and said, She'll be fine. In fact, she'll wake up tomorrow like nothing happened. This is all because of her unique physique. Also, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but Jinsi was able to use her nameless technique throughout our entire training without experiencing any backlash. And now that you mention it, their eyes widened upon this realization. How did you do it? Wang Bingbing asked. It's simple. I used only my fists for a reason. Every time I punch her body, it would release some of the built-up tension in her muscles, allowing her to continue using the technique without reaching her maximum threshold as quickly. Yuan explained. I see. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 898. Published at 2nd of May, 2022, 12:09 and 19 seconds p.m. Chapter 898. 898. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 898. Understanding the nameless technique. Sometime later, Yuan returned to his room while the others returned to their own training. Li Jinsi woke up the following morning with an incredible headache and feeling like she'd been hit by a truck recently. Am I still alive? She mumbled in a dazed voice. It wasn't clear to her at first, but her memories of yesterday's training eventually resurfaced. Ah, he was really ruthless yesterday. I have never been beaten like that. Ever. A slight smile appeared on her face without her awareness. Knock knock, it's me. Are you awake? Yuan's voice suddenly resounded. Yes, come inside. Yuan entered the room the next moment. How are you feeling? He asked her. Li Jinsi turned to look at Yuan and said with a bittersweet smile, my body hurts like hell. I might have gone too far for your first session. Sorry. No, I needed that. I have never suffered such a defeat before. It really opened my eyes. Do you wish to continue? Yuan suddenly asked. Of course. Li Jinsi immediately responded without any hesitation in her voice. You'll wake up every day like this, you know? As long as I can become stronger. After a moment of silence, Yuan asked, why are you so desperate to acquire strength? You might not believe me, but I really don't have any motivation. At least I didn't until very recently. I enjoy fighting and improving myself. It's as simple as that. She calmly responded. I see. Then what is your motivation now? You have one now, right? Li Jinsi did not immediately answer. She slowly got off the bed and stood on her feet despite the pain coursing through her body. She then walked to stand in front of Yuan. You're my motivation now. I want to defeat you. Yuan smiled and said, it's not going to be easy. I know, but I won't stop training until I defeat you, no matter how long it'll take. And she continued, go wait for me in the training area. I will be there in a bit. You want to train with your body like that? That's reckless. I can handle it, she said. However, Yuan shook his head and said, go soak in some medicine first. I'll meet you in the training area in a few hours. Okay. While Li Jinsi went to soak in medicine, Yuan returned to his own room. He then took a seat on the floor in the lotus position and took a deep breath. Even though they are different techniques, they function almost the same. I wonder if I will be able to control that golden aura if I deepen my understanding with Li Jinsi's nameless technique. In just a few moments, a red aura began appearing around Yuan's body. Although he had learned Li Jinsi's nameless technique, he doesn't have any intentions to use it. After all, he was only doing this to gain a better understanding for the technique. Furthermore, his golden aura was vastly superior to the nameless technique. I have only absorbed 2,000 years worth of Tianqin's memories right now, but there is nothing about the golden aura in these memories. Just how long did Tianqin live? When does he learn to use the golden aura? However, there's no need to be impatient. I have already managed to activate it once. I will eventually be able to control it. Yuan would continue to study the nameless technique for the next few hours until he met up with Li Jinsi in the training area, where he would proceed to beat her until she was at the verge of death. How long are you two going to train like this? Meishio asked him as she washed Li Jinsi's bloody figure. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. I'm not sure, but it'll probably be for a while. You don't have to clean her if you don't want to. I can do it by myself. You're probably better off using this time to train yourself, after all. Yuan responded from outside the bathroom. No, I can do this. It doesn't take that much time, and it's not like I can let you wash the body of another woman, Meishio said with a slightly rosy face. Yuan smiled and said, don't worry, I won't do anything I am not supposed to do to her. I already have you and Lulu after all. The redness on Meixia's face immediately deepened, and she spoke. T, that's not what I am worried about. Sometime later, Meishio left the bathroom with Li Jinsi still unconscious in her arms. Thank you, Meishio, Yuan said to her as she placed Li Jinsi's body on the bed. You should go easier on her, Yuan. It feels weird seeing you beating on a young lady, even if she's someone like Li Jinsi. Yuan chuckled. I can't help it. Ordinary training methods won't work on her. And after realizing how much talent she has, it makes me want to see her full potential. Meishio sighed. You've really changed, Yuan. Huh? What do you mean? Not long ago, you didn't even know the difference between a man and a woman. Now look at you. You're a competent teacher who has trained even an entire family of demon sealers. Your demeanor has also changed. It pained me to even look at you before because you were always depressed, but you're now brimming with confidence. If Yuro could see you now, I doubt she would even recognize you. Yuroha? Meishio, this might be a weird question, but who do you prefer? The old me or the new me? Yuan faced her with a serious look on his face. That's not a fair question, Yuan. It puts me in an awkward position. It's not a question that I can answer. However, if I have to be honest, I like how we can talk with each other while being on the same page, something that was not really possible back then. For example, the words I love you would have a different meaning if I said it to the old you and the current you. Do you understand? Yuan chuckled. Yes, I understand. I am well aware of how naive I was back then, and I'm sorry for all of the inconveniences it caused you. Meishio shook her head while blushing. Anyways, are you free now? Yuan suddenly asked her. Besides training, I don't have anything else. Before she could even finish her sentence, Yuan picked her up and carried her like a princess. Why, Yuan? I want to thank you properly for helping me today. Let's go to your room. Yuan smiled. Okay. Meishio immediately understood the meaning behind his words and nodded in a bashful manner. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 899. Published at 2nd of May, 2022, 12:09 and 18 seconds p.m. Chapter 899. 899 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 899. New product. After carrying Meishio to her room, Yuan locked the door behind him and laid her on the bed. Once they were fully prepared, they entangled their naked bodies together and began moving passionately with each other. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Speaking of Yuro, it should be her birthday soon, right? I stopped paying attention to the dates long ago, Yuan said as he laid on the bed with Meishio resting her head on his arm, feeling incredibly refreshed and relaxed. Her birthday is next month. In 17 days to be exact. Meishio said without needing to think. We should give her a visit. Yuan then said. What about the demons? We'll take care of them long before then. Yuan smiled. Then do you have any idea what you want to give her? No, I was going to ask you for advice. What do you think she'll like? It's been forever since I last celebrated her birthday. I think she'll be happy no matter what you give her. I know, but that's not fun. I need to give her something grand, something worthy of my precious little sister. Sometime later, Meishio got dressed and left to prepare for dinner. At dinner, to everybody's surprise, Li Jinsi showed up. Are you sure you should be moving around right now? Wang Ming asked her. I'm fine, she calmly replied. My God, it took you an entire day to wake up yesterday. You're progressing a little too fast, don't you think? Lang mumbled in a dazed voice. I have a good teacher, she said as she turned to look at Yuan. How do you even endure such beating? Are you perhaps a masochist? Li Jinsi immediately glared at the person who just spoke, Shi Morong, with a dangerous gaze. I am just joking, Shi Morong swallowed nervously. Even in Li Jinsi's current state, he would still lose to her in a fight. Your jokes are getting worse and worse, she sneered. Sorry. After dinner, everyone but Meishio returned to their rooms to rest. Where are you going so late at night? The manager asked after noticing her. To the convenience store, she hastily replied. The manager raised her eyebrows in a questioning manner, but she didn't actually ask any questions. Even though the store is open 24/7, there's no need for her to go there now. Oh well, it's none of my business. The manager calmly turned around and walked to the guest room. Meishio sighed in relief and left the building shortly after. Sometime later, she entered the convenience store. Welcome. A new woman that Meishio did not recognize was at the counter today. Hello. Where is the other worker? She asked. She just finished her shift about an hour ago. I work the night shifts. I see. Anyways, how may I help you? In response, Meishio took out her box of birth control pills and placed it on the counter. Can I have another box? Meishio asked, feeling a lot less embarrassed compared to her previous visit. Sure thing. The clerk smiled and took out another box of birth control pills from under the counter. Thank you, Meishio said. However, just as she went to pick up the box, the clerk spoke. By the way, we have a new product that came in just 2 days ago. Do you want to try it out? What new product? Meishio raised an eyebrow. This. The woman then retrieved a small packet that contained 4 red medicine capsules. What's this? Meishio asked. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. It's a stimulator of sorts. It will not only give you more energy during your sexy time with your partner, it will even stimulate your senses, allowing you to feel more pleasure. It's quite new, but it's already gained a lot of popularity regardless of the age. Oh, it can be used for either gender. Even if you don't need it, I recommend you try it at least once. It will greatly enhance your sex life. Speaking from personal experience. The clerk winked at Meishio in a suggestive manner. Meishio swallowed nervously. I guess I can give it a try. After bagging both items, Meishio quickly returned to her room. The following day, everybody gathered in the training area once again. You will all be fighting this demon today, and since it's stronger than the previous one, you'll return to your original groups, the one with 4 to 5 people. Yuan said to them. He turned to face Li Jinsi and asked her, How do you feel? Never been better, she said. Good. I'll give you all 10 minutes to prepare yourselves. Then I will unseal the demon. Yuan. Li Jinsi suddenly approached him. Yes. I have a request. Can I fight the demon by myself? Yuan began pondering. In your current state, you'll be able to use the nameless technique for at most 10 minutes before you lose control. Your demon sealing aura isn't strong enough to seal it within that time even if it allows you to attack it non-stop. You can try fighting it without the nameless technique, but you won't be its match. In other words, you won't defeat it. I know that I won't be able to seal it, but I still want to fight it by myself. It's for experience. After pondering for a moment, Yuan nodded. All right. You can fight it by yourself. He then turned to look at Wang Ming and said, You'll replace Li Jinsi and transfer to Group 1. Why am I replacing her? Wang Ming asked. She wants to fight the demon by herself. What? Are you crazy? You could barely hold your utensils at dinner yesterday. That was yesterday. I am fine now. Li Jinsi said. Fuck, she's really inhuman. She must have been adopted into the Li family, and her real parents are gorillas. Shi Murong mumbled in a low voice. I heard that. Li Jinsi snapped to glare at him. I didn't say anything. Shi Murong immediately turned around and began whistling. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 900. Published at 2nd of May, 2022, 12:09 and 17 seconds p.m. Chapter 900. 900. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 900. Drastic improvements. Sometime later, the first group entered the demon sealing zone and waited for Yuan to unseal the demon. Once it was unsealed, the demon looked around in a calm manner. However, that calmness quickly went away when it saw Chu Liuxiang and the others surrounding it. What is the meaning of this? The demon spoke in a grim voice. They are demon sealers, and they will be sealing you, demon. Yuan said. And he continued. You are currently within the demon sealing zone, so don't even think about escaping. Of course, you could kill yourself with core detonation. However, if you accept my request, I will set you free. The demon narrowed its eyes on Yuan, who was wearing a mask. It then turned to look at the others there. What is your request? It's quite simple, really. I want you to fight these demon sealers for the next 7 days. If you can do that, I will set you free. What if I kill them? You can try, but it won't happen. If I can kill them, will you let me free early? Sure. Yuan calmly nodded. Perfect. A malicious grin appeared on the demon's face. The demon sealers and the demon clash with each other shortly after. The demon sealers expected to quickly overpower the demon, but they soon realized that would not be the case, and the demon was able to defend itself and counterattack at the same time. Compared to the last demon, it was at least twice as hard, and it would take them thrice as long to seal the demon. Of course, none of them would end up unscathed. Most of them left the demon sealing zone with bruises. In fact, all of them had experienced near-death situations more than once during their fight. Holy shit! How can 3 levels make such a huge difference? We could barely keep up with the demon this time. Wang Ming exclaimed as he laid on the floor, his body soaked in sweat. I don't think we'll be able to fight the demon more than once a day. Chu Liuxiang said while gasping for air. How long did it take to seal the demon? It felt like an eternity, Shi Morong asked. 2 hours and 11 minutes. Wang Bingbing said. 2 hours. It only took us 30 minutes to seal the last one. Hong Xiuquan exclaimed. Shortly after the first group finished, the second group entered the demon sealing zone and started fighting the demon. In the end, it took them a little under 2 hours to seal the demon. 1 hour and 51 minutes. Wang Ming said to them. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but to think it was that much harder. Wang Bingbing sighed. Yuan approached the exhausted demon sealers and said to them, at this rate, you won't be able to seal the next demon. Therefore, I will be teaching all of you new demon sealing techniques. Oh, how many? Wang Ming asked out of curiosity. I have 3 demon sealing techniques for each of you. 3. Yuan nodded. It might take some time before you're able to use them, but that's not the real purpose. I want you all to increase your demon sealing aura. It's taking all of you too long to seal the demon, and you're in a group. At this rate, it'll take you an entire day to seal the demon by yourself. Anyways, line up. I will give you these techniques now. Thus, everybody there began lining up in front of him. Sometime later, Yuan transferred 3 demon sealing techniques to each of them. Everyone here besides Jinxi can leave for today. You can also take tomorrow off to study these new techniques. Since I transferred the techniques directly into your mind, you'll be able to comprehend it faster than normal. Once everyone but Li Jinxi left, Yuan said to her, whenever you're ready, visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Li Jinxi nodded and entered the demon sealing zone. The moment Yuan released the demon, Li Jinxi activated her nameless technique. Just one of you this time? The demon grinned when it saw Li Jinxi. However, despite only facing Li Jinxi, the demon did not underestimate her. In fact, he knew at a glance that she was the strongest out of everyone it's faced today. The two of them began exchanging blows shortly after. Li Jinxi easily overpowered the demon in terms of raw strength and speed, but that did not last long. After 10 minutes of dominance, Li Jinxi could no longer control the nameless technique, and began experiencing a backlash. However, despite feeling like her muscles were being torn apart, Li Jinxi continued to fight the demon for a couple more minutes, until she could no longer lift even a single finger. You're mine. The demon laughed as it lunged forward at the unconscious Li Jinxi. Maybe next time. Yuan suddenly appeared behind the demon with the Empyrean overlord in his grasp. What? The demon didn't notice Yuan's presence until it was too late. Its body immediately began turning into stone. All it took was a single strike. The demon stared at Yuan in disbelief as it completely turned into stone. After sealing the demon, Yuan carried Li Jinxi into her room and began massaging her body. 2 days later, the training resumed. This time, it took the first group only an hour to seal the demon while the second group took around 50 minutes. It was a drastic improvement that nobody there but Yuan had expected. This continued until the 7th day, where it would take both groups only 15 minutes to seal the demon. As for Li Jinxi, she was able to use the nameless technique for 20 minutes straight. Great job, everyone. It appears that you're all ready for the next demon. Yuan said to them after their training. What are you going to do with the demon now? Wang Ming asked him. I'm going to free it, of course. Yuan responded with a calm smile on his face, causing everyone to swallow nervously. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 901. Published at 2nd of May, 2022, 12:09 and 16 seconds p.m. Chapter 901. 901 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 901. Why are you wearing a mask? Yuan entered the demon sealing zone and unsealed the demon shortly after Li Jinxi finished her turn. I have fulfilled your request, human. You'll set me free as promised. The demon stared at Yuan with a solemn expression. Yes, don't worry, I will set you free. Yuan said as he approached the demon. What are you planning? The demon frowned upon, sensing that something was wrong. However, before it could even react, Yuan extended his hand and grabbed the crystal embedded on its body. What is the meaning of this, human? The demon roared at Yuan. What else? I am setting you free. Fucking bullshit. You lied to me, human. I didn't lie. You just misunderstood the meaning behind my words, that's all. Fuck you, you damn livestock. The demon became enraged and rushed at Yuan. You'll be truly free now. Yuan mumbled in a low voice as he crushed the demon's crystal, instantly killing the demon. The others were left speechless by Yuan's actions. He killed the demon just like that? Wang Ming muttered in disbelief. Why, Yuan? Why didn't the demon die when we struck its crystal? I know ID destroyed it a few times during our training. Shirlang asked him. That's because it requires a certain technique and a certain level of demon sealing aura to achieve this feat. When you all become strong enough, I will teach you this technique. Yuan said to them. It's a promise. Of course. Anyways, the next demon won't be unsealed for another week, but I can unseal it early. Take the next 5 days off. I will deal with the other demons in the meantime. All right. Yuan approached the manager afterward and said, Can you bring all of the demons here tomorrow? All of them. The manager stared at him with wide eyes. Yes. We could wait for them to break out of their seal one by one, or I can kill them all at once. Why the sudden rush? She asked. I just remembered that my sister's birthday is coming up soon, so I want to clean things up before I go, he calmly said. Is that so? All right, I will speak with the Lord. The manager nodded. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? Yuan asked when she continued to stare at him. I've been meaning to ask you this, but why are you wearing a mask? Oh, this? The demons would lose all desire to fight if they see my face, and I don't want that. Yuan explained without really going into the details. Why would they lose desire to fight if they see your face? That doesn't make any sense. The manager asked out of curiosity. I don't know. I guess they really hate my face or something. Yuan casually shrugged. So he doesn't want to tell me, huh? Whatever. The manager left shortly after, returning to the peak of the mountain to notify the Lord of the situation. He wants to deal with all of the demons at once? I don't have any problems with that. In fact, that's exactly what I want. The manager then asked, once he defeats all of the demons, are you really going to tell him the truth? He probably already knows the truth. Do you remember what he said? That we came from the 9 heavens? Of course. Then he's already aware of the fact that the 9 heavens truly exist somewhere in this universe, which is already a third of what we're going to tell him. We might as well tell him everything at this point. I guess so, the manager sighed. The following morning, the manager arrived at Yuan's household with a truck meant for moving furniture. After parking in the training area, she proceeded to bring out the remaining 9 demons, placing them in an orderly fashion, and in the order they would break out of their seal. Visit Recital Me for extra chapters. Can you put this one to the side for now? It's going to be the other's practice tool. Yuan pointed at a certain sealed demon and asked the manager, "All right, what about the other demons? Which do you want to kill first?" "I will handle them all at once. It's more convenient that way, after all." The manager frowned and said, "I know you're strong and all, but you shouldn't be so arrogant. You should take the situation more seriously and be more cautious and deal with them one by one." Yuan sighed. "Fine. I will kill 2 of them at once, and then I will deal with the strongest one by itself at the end." "Did you even hear me just now? 1 at a time." "You're underestimating me now, Leah." Yuan smiled. "How about this? If you let me fight 2 of them at once, I will fight them without a mask." "Deal." The manager immediately agreed, leaving Yuan speechless. Was this her intention from the beginning? He wondered inwardly. While the manager moved 2 of the 9 demons into Yuan's demon sealing zone, the others gathered around the area with transportable chairs, acting as though they were going to an outdoor movie. "Okay, I am ready," the manager said to Yuan after she finished moving the demons. "Thank you," Yuan said as she entered the demon sealing zone. He's not wearing his mask today?" Wang Bingbing noticed this and asked the others, "Why does he even feel the need to wear a mask?" Wang Ming asked, "Do you know?" Xi Morong turned to ask Chu Liuxiang. "I don't. What about you, Meixiao?" Chu Liuxiang asked her next. "I don't." She shook her head. "Even you don't know?" The others were surprised. Out of everyone there, they expected Meixiao to know. While the others mumbled to each other, Yuan unsealed the demons. "Ha ha ha ha. I am free. Free." The 2 demons in the demon sealing zone immediately started laughing out loud. Yuan patiently waited for the demons to notice him. When the demons eventually noticed Yuan, they stopped laughing and stared at him with their eyes as wide as saucers. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 902. Published at 3rd of May, 2022, 5:39 and 27 seconds p.m. Chapter 902. 902 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 902. Terrified demons. Hey. That human. Doesn't he look a lot like? Yes. He looks like the D. Before the 2 demons could even fully comprehend the situation, Yuan used his movement technique to instantly close their distance. Wah! Too late. The demons tried to distance themselves from Yuan, but it was too late, as Head grabbed their demon crystals before they could even move. Why? And before the demons could even utter a full word, Yuan crushed the crystals, instantly killing them. In fact, not even 10 seconds have passed since the demons were released from their seals. Fear? Impossible. The manager stared at Yuan with her eyes wide with shock and puzzlement. Why would they fear Yuan? No. Can demons even feel fear? It also seemed like the demons recognized him. No. Those demons have been sealed for countless years. There's no way that they could have recognized him. That wouldn't make any logical sense. The manager pondered a logical explanation to the phenomenon that had just happened. Leah. Yuan suddenly called for her, bringing her back to reality. Can you bring in the next 2 demons? Che. The manager sucked her teeth before carrying 2 more demons into the demon sealing zone. Why do I have to carry them, anyway? She wondered inwardly as she placed the last demon into the zone. Thanks. Yuan unsealed the demons shortly after. The demons instantly noticed Yuan's presence this time around. And when they saw his face, just like the previous 2 demons, their eyes widened with shock and terror. This is definitely the scent of fear. They're fearing him. Why? Demons have never feared humans before. The manager was feeling agitated at this point. Then she recalled something the Lord had once told her. No. There was one entity that demons feared. The Bane of Demons, also known as the Divine Paragon, who freed the 9 heavens from the demon clan's domination. However, she couldn't connect the dot between the Divine Paragon and Yuan. After all, these two individuals lived in 2 different worlds and eras. There was simply no connection between them. Of course, since she has never seen the Divine Paragon's face before, there was no way that she would have realized the truth. While the manager was absorbed in her thoughts, Yuan killed the 2 demons. In the blink of an eye, Yuan had killed half of the 8 demons. You called me inhuman, right? If I am inhuman, what do you call someone like him? Li Jinsi asked Shimorong, who was too shocked to even speak. However, inside his mind he could only think of a single word that could describe Yuan. God. Sometime later, the manager carried 2 more demons into the demon sealing zone. Why you are? I am possible. You can't be. Once again, Yuan killed the demons before they could even finish a full sentence. Of course, it was made easier due to the demon's fear and confusion. He's definitely doing this on purpose. What is he trying to hide? The manager could feel her entire body heating up from anger. Manager, the next one. Yuan waved at her with a smile on his face, which only further irritated her. Sometime later, Yuan unsealed and killed the 7th demon, leaving only 1 demon, not including the demon that will become a practice tool. After the manager carried the final demon into the demon sealing zone, Yuan said to her, I told you it would be more convenient to just kill them all at once. What are you trying to hide from me, Yuan? Why are the demons fearful of you? She asked him. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yuan shrugged. This bastard. The manager gritted her teeth in frustration, but there was nothing she could do about it, nor could she blame him for wanting to keep a secret. After all, she has a secret or 2 herself. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Yuan unsealed the Spirit Lord demon a few moments later, and to everyone's surprise, he didn't immediately attack it. The Spirit Lord demon stared at Yuan with wide eyes, but it didn't utter a single word. In fact, it refused to. The Divine Paragon. Why the fuck is he here? The demon cried inwardly. It was so spooked by Yuan's appearance that it didn't even notice his cultivation base. Why did he unseal me? Fuck. Is he going to torture me like the rumors? The demon trembled in fear when it recalled the countless horror stories about the Divine Paragon, with torture being one of the most common story. Fuck this shit. I'd rather die than be tortured by the Divine Paragon. And without any hesitation, the demon destroyed its own crystal. What? It's killing itself already. The others were shocked when the demon suddenly started glowing bright red, almost as though there was a powerful light source illuminating the demon from within. I don't think so. Yuan suddenly summoned the Empyrean Overlord and tossed it at the demon, piercing it right in its chest. What? The demon exclaimed in a shocked voice when its chaotic energy was sealed quicker than it could expand. However, since the demon had already destroyed its crystal, it wouldn't be saved just because it was sealed before it could explode. A few moments after the demon was completely sealed, its body began breaking down itself, until it was nothing but a pile of dust. The entire place was dead silent as everybody there stared at the pile of dust until the wind carried it away, leaving nothing but a demon core behind. The strongest demon killed itself? Why? Because of Yuan's face? The manager nearly fell onto her buttocks after witnessing such a ridiculous outcome. There's only 1 demon left now. Make sure you all practice your demon sealing techniques before then. Yuan said to the others. Oh, okay. They all nodded in a dazed manner. Once everyone returned to the household, the manager approached Yuan and said to him, Follow me. Where are we going? He asked. To speak with the Lord. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 903. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 53 seconds AM. Chapter 903. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 903. Unread messages. The Lord? Why? Yuan raised his eyebrows. Now that you have defeated the strongest demon, it will only be a matter of time before the last demon is dealt with. Do you remember your conversation with the Lord? That he'd tell you the truth if you take care of his demon problem? Yeah, I remember. Yuan nodded. And he continued, however, there is still one demon left. Until I kill the last demon, I won't speak with him. After all, it was part of the agreement. Don't you want to know the truth about, and the Lord's identity? The manager frowned at him. Of course I do, but I'm in no rush. Why are you so impatient to tell me the truth though? Did something happen? He smiled at her. And no. Forget it then. The manager left the place shortly after. Yuan returned to his room shortly after and practiced the nameless technique. During dinner, Yuan said, Meishio Lulu Jinsi, we're going to make our way to the stairway to heaven tomorrow. You're ascending already? Wang Ming asked. No, not yet. I will do it after my sister's birthday, which is in about 2 weeks. Your sister? This was news to some of the people there. Yes, my younger sister Yuro. She's currently at another faction. What was the name of their faction again? Eternal Lotuses. Meishio said. Right. Eternal Lotuses. Oh, I've heard about them. They're a pretty popular and powerful female-only faction. Wang Bingbing said. We should probably notify her before we see her. They forbid men from visiting. Meishio said. But I don't want to ruin the surprise. Yuan sighed. I know. Meishio, can you contact the leader of the Eternal Lotuses? I will talk with the leader directly and receive permission, so that it wouldn't ruin the surprise. All right. I will contact the Cultivators Association and ask them to set up a schedule. Thank you. After dinner, Meishio returned to her own room and called Chairman Li, the head of the Cultivators Association. After a single ring, Chairman Li picked up the phone and spoke in an excited voice. Hello. Hello, Chairman Li. This is Meishio from the Demon Ceiling faction. Oh, Lady Meishio. I have been waiting for your call. Chairman Li sounded as though he was on the verge of crying through the phone. Lady Meishio? Meishio raised an eyebrow. Lady Meishio, before you say anything, I must ask, have you checked your email since the creation of the Demon Ceiling faction? Chairman Li suddenly asked. Email? No, I haven't. Why? You should probably take a look at it. You will understand quicker that way. Okay, give me a minute. Meishio went to grab her laptop and checked her email. Meishio was shocked when she saw how many unread messages were in her email. Unread messages. 9,999 plus. There were many types of messages. Messages from people who wanted to join the Demon Ceiling faction. Messages from other factions that were hoping to form an alliance with them. And most of all, messages from news organizations that wanted to interview their faction, mostly Yuan. After the creation of the Demon Ceiling faction, news of player Yuan being its leader spread like wildfire, and people from all over the world wanted to contact them. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. However, the only way to contact them was through Meishio's email, which she'd neglected until now. Because of this, people started contacting the Cultivators Association instead, but there was nothing they could do besides sending more messages to Meishio. Sorry. I'd completely forgotten about it. Meishio apologized to Chairman Li after realizing her mistake. It's all right. Better late than never. Chairman Li chuckled. Anyways, is there anything the Cultivators Association can do for you, Lady Meishio? Yes, I have a request. Yuan would like to speak with the leader of the Eternal Lotuses. Can you contact them and let them know? The leader of Eternal Lotuses? That would be White Lotus. May I ask for a reason? The Eternal Lotuses will want to know your reason as well. Yuan's little sister is a member of the Eternal Lotuses, and it will be her birthday soon. He wants to surprise her with a visit, but the Eternal Lotuses don't allow men to enter, so we were hoping to work something out. Yuan's little sister? I understand. I will contact White Lotus after this, but she might not respond for a while. They're a powerful faction with a popular leader, so they're bound to be very busy. I understand. Thank you. No need to be humble, Lady Meisio. The Cultivators Association is here for you. Chairman Li said. Of course, only powerful factions like the Demon Sealing faction could receive such privileges. After hanging up, Meisio placed her phone beside the bed and started going through some unread messages out of curiosity. Meanwhile, Chairman Li called the Eternal Lotus's headquarters. Hello, this is Chairman Li of the Cultivators Association. I have some important matters to discuss with White Lotus. Miss Bai is currently cultivating. Can this wait until tomorrow? White Lotus manager answered the phone. I don't mind waiting. Tell White Lotus that player Yuan from the Demon Sealing faction would like to speak with her. Call me back when you're ready to speak. That's all. Wait. Did you just say player? However, Chairman Li closed the connection before the manager could even finish her sentence. Of course, this was on purpose, as it would give them more pressure and a sense of urgency. After staring at her phone in a dazed manner for many moments, the manager went to look for White Lotus. Miss Bai, I apologize for bothering you during your cultivation, but this is urgent. The manager knocked on her door. A few moments later, a white-haired beauty opened the door and appeared before the manager. What is it? Chairman Li from the Cultivators Association just called, and he said that player Yuan from the Demon Sealing faction would like to speak with you. White Lotus immediately narrowed her eyes upon hearing this information. Player Yuan? Why would he want to speak with me? She curiously wondered. Chapter 904. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 53 seconds AM. Chapter 904. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 904. Silver Spirit Grass White Lotus was surprised and confused at the same time when she received news that player Yuan had reached out to her. According to her knowledge, Yuan has never reached out to any other player, and this only further increased her curiosity. What could player Yuan possibly want from her when he seemingly already has everything? Call Chairman Li back and tell him to let player Yuan know that I am willing to speak with him. However, I'd like to do it in if that's possible. Why you want to speak with player Yuan in? Her manager looked at her with wide eyes. Aren't you curious? The infamous player Yuan who's been dominating since day one. His achievements are light years ahead of everyone else, and he acquired most of them within the first month. However, he's been awfully quiet since his last announcement when he opened the stairway to heaven to the second world. Almost as though he'd disappeared from this world. Okay, I will call Chairman Li now. A few moments later, Chairman Li picked up his phone. This is Chairman Li. Good evening, Chairman Li. This is Bai Lianhua. Is it true that player Yuan wants to speak with me? White Lotus asked. Yes, that is true. I'm sure you're curious as to why. Let me tell. No, don't tell me. I want to ask him for myself. White Lotus interrupted. If that's what you wish. When are you available? I will help the two of you schedule an online chat room, where the two of you can chat with each other. That's not necessary. I wish to speak with player Yuan in person. Tell him that I will be at the Wuyue Pavilion in Wuyue City in 3 hours. It's very close to the starting city in the second world. If he's not able to make it there in time, I can wait for him. Okay, I will let them know of your response. I will call you back when I get their response. Chairman Li hung up the phone and called Meisio. This is Chairman Li. I have just contacted White Lotus of the Eternal Lotuses. She agrees to meet with player Yuan, but she wishes to meet him in 3 hours. The location is at Wuyue Pavilion in Wuyue City by the starting city in the second world. Is he able to make it? Give me a minute. I will go ask him right now. Meisio placed the phone down and went to knock on Yuan's door. Once Yuan opened the door, Meisio relayed the news to him. I see. Wuyue Pavilion in Wuyue City, right? Let them know that I will be there. Yuan nodded. While Yuan logged into, Meisio told Chairman Li of the situation. Thank you. I will let White Lotus know immediately. No, thank you for the help. Meisio said before hanging up. After logging into Cultivation online, Yuan immediately began making his way towards Wuyue City. Since the destination was quite close to the starting city in Spirit Heaven, it didn't take even an hour for Yuan to arrive. After arriving at the city, Yuan decided to take a tour around the city since he had plenty of time left before the meeting. Since I am going to be asking White Lotus for a favor, I should probably give her a gift, right? First impressions are quite important after all. With that in mind, Yuan began pondering what he should gift White Lotus. Then he recalled something Yu Ro had told him before. White Lotus was the first player to have a servant. I should probably give her something that would benefit her servant. Yuan immediately began looking for a store that would have such gifts. However, it was quite late at night, so most of the stores were closed. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Then he recalled something else. Feng Feng, do you happen to have more spirit fruits on you? Yuan asked her. Spirit fruits? No, I gave what I had left to you when we first met, she said. If you don't mind me asking, why do you need spirit fruits? I am meeting someone later, and I want to give her a gift. She's probably a beast tamer, so I want to give her something related to that, Yuan explained. I see. Do you know what kind of magical beast she's tamed? No, I don't. Feng Yuxiang pondered for a moment before speaking again. I have a suggestion, young master. Since you don't know what kind of magical beast she's tamed, you can just give her something that will benefit most magical beasts. I have something called silver spirit grass. Not only is it the favorite food for many magical beasts, it can even boost their cultivation growth rate by 50% until they reach Spirit Master. That sounds perfect. How much do they usually cost? I'll pay you for some. Yuan said. It's all right, young master. It doesn't cost too much, so you can just have them for free. Yuan raised an eyebrow and asked her. Are you saying that because it's really that cheap, or are you saying that because it's too expensive for me? Knowing you, I doubt you would have anything cheap on you. Tell me the truth, Feng Feng. It costs 5 million spirit stones for a batch of silver spirit grass. 5,000,000. Yuan swallowed nervously. He rubbed his eyes for a moment before speaking. Don't worry, I can afford it after selling the Gu family's treasures. I will pay you back later. You really don't have to. No, I must. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel like a gift since I got it from someone else for free. If you insist, young master. Sometime later, Yuan made his way to the Wuyue Pavilion even though there was still an hour left. It was an open area surrounded by an artificial pond. It was also a lively outdoor restaurant that had dancers in the middle and musicians on each side. Yuan swept the entire area with his divine sense until he noticed a beautiful white-haired young woman who was sitting by herself at a small round table. Yet she was surrounded by young men that were trying to get her attention. Seeing this, Yuan shook his head inwardly and approached the table with the white-haired beauty. Chapter 905. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 53 seconds AM. Chapter 905. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 905. Meeting White Lotus. Hey pretty. Why are you sitting here by yourself? Why don't you come sit with us? It'll be our treat. Come sit with my friends, young fairy. We just got accepted into the 7 Spirit Academies, so we're celebrating. It's a crime for a beauty such as yourself to be alone. Come with me. I'll spend the whole night with you. The white-haired beauty sighed. I'm waiting for my friend, so you'll have to entertain yourselves without me. However, the young men did not leave and became even more motivated. Why must the men be even more annoying in this world? The white-haired beauty sighed inwardly. Excuse me, I'd like to get through. A calm voice suddenly resounded amongst the dozens of voices there. Huh? Who the hell are you? Can't you see that there's a line here? I know you're horny, but wait for your turn, buddy. It was at this moment a powerful pressure suddenly enveloped the place, startling everybody there. Although the pressure was only directly at certain people there, and lasted only a second, it was strong enough to completely silence the entire place. The white-haired beauty then watched as the people around her moved to the side with terrified expressions on their faces, creating a path for someone. Hello, you must be White Lotus. Yuan greeted the white-haired beauty when he approached the table. White Lotus looked at Yuan with her eyes slightly widened, and she subconsciously swallowed nervously. Are you player Yuan? She asked after a moment of silence. You can just call me Yuan. He nodded. Can I sit here? He then pointed at the chair on the opposite side of her. Please. Once he was seated, the people around them started to disappear, and the music resumed. However, the overall noise in that place remained quite low, almost as though the people there were afraid of disturbing someone. I hope you didn't wait too long for me, Yuan said to her. It's fine, I wasn't expecting for you to show up this early either, she said. And she continued. I was surprised when Chairman Li called me. I never expected to be contacted by the famous player Yuan, who has remained a mystery since the start of. A mystery, huh? I just never had a reason to speak with other players, I guess. Yuan said. Nevertheless, I'm glad that you'd reached out to me. I have always wanted to meet you. White Lotus said with a slight smile on her face. You wanted to meet me? Why? Yuan raised an eyebrow. I was very proud to become the first player to have a servant. Yet you'd made my achievement completely obsolete with your divine grade servant. Do you have any idea how that made me feel? I have never felt so humiliated before. Sorry, that wasn't my intention. I know, and I am not blaming you. White Lotus shook her head. Anyways, why did you want to speak with me? Yuan raised his eyebrows in a puzzled manner. Chairman Li didn't tell you? He asked. It's not that he didn't tell me. I just figured that it would be better if I heard it directly from you rather than through another person. That would be more sincere after all. I see. Then before I tell you, allow me to give you this. Yuan retrieved the silver spirit grass and placed it on the table. White Lotus looked at the bundle of grass with a confused face. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Why is he giving me grass? She wondered to herself. Since you're the first player to have acquired a servant, I figured this would be a perfect gift for you. It's called silver spirit grass. If you feed it to your servant, it will boost their cultivation speed by 50% until they reach the strength of a spirit master. What? White Lotus exclaimed in a shocked voice. I know it's not much since I didn't have enough time to prepare. I cannot accept such a gift. It's too valuable. White Lotus suddenly interrupted, and she continued in a nervous voice. I saw a treasure with similar effects before, but it was only at 10%, and it was already worth 1,000,000 spirit stones. I cannot imagine how much this treasure with 50% effect is worth. Don't worry about it. If you don't use it, I will have to give it to someone else since I have no use for it. White Lotus stared at the silver spirit grass with a pondering face. However, before she could even come to a conclusion, a shadowy figure suddenly shot out from her body and started gnawing on the silver spirit grass. Exuhei! Stop! White Lotus shouted in a panicked voice when she realized that it was her servant that was eating the priceless silver spirit grass. But alas, the silver spirit grass disappeared almost immediately. In no way. White Lotus could feel all of her strength leave her body as she watched millions of spirit stones disappear into her servant's stomach. A cat with two tails? So this is your servant, huh? Yuan stared at the cat with interest. I am so sorry. White Lotus suddenly stood up and apologized with her head lowered. Meow, the two-tailed black cat looked at Yuan with a thankful gaze. I will accept your apology if you listen to my request. Yuan smiled. Anything. White Lotus quickly said. You see, my little sister, Yuro, is actually a member of your faction. It is going to be her birthday soon, and I'd like to surprise her with a visit. However, I heard that your faction doesn't allow men to enter, so I wanted to see if I could work something out with you, the leader of the faction. White Lotus stared at him with a dumbfounded face. This is the reason he wanted to contact me? She cried inwardly. Wait, did you just say Yuro? You're her brother? She asked him after a moment of silence. Yes, I am. Do you know her? White Lotus nodded in a dazed manner. Chapter 906. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 53 seconds AM. Chapter 906. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 906. Meeting White Lotus 2. Yu-Ro is one of the most talented new recruits we had recently, so it's hard to miss her. But to think that she was the little sister of Yuan. I am truly speechless. White Lotus said. How is she doing in the faction? It's been a while since I spoke with her. Although she's called multiple times, I am always busy. And when I try calling her back, she's busy with practice, so I haven't been able to speak with her recently, not to mention the difference in time zone. Yuan sighed. Yu-Ro is very diligent in her training. She's always the first one there, and the last to leave. Because of her commitment, she's earned all of the instructors' respects. For her to have such discipline, she must have wonderful parents. When their parents were mentioned, Yuan's expression suddenly turned cold, and killing intent began leaking from him. White Lotus was quite startled by such a drastic change in atmosphere, and she began worrying that she might have said something she shouldn't have. Excuse me. Yuan noticed the scared look on White Lotus' face and quickly controlled his emotions. I'm sorry if No, it wasn't your fault. I just remembered some unpleasant memories, that's all. And he continued. Anyways, I know that I am asking a lot from you, but if you cannot let me meet with Yu-Ro at your place, can you help me meet up with Yu-Ro somewhere outside? I want it to remain as a surprise, so if you could, don't let her know that she's going to meet me. White Lotus pondered Yuan's request as she looked at Su-Hei, who was still sitting on the table and licking its lips. All right, I will make it an exception and allow you to enter our land to celebrate Yu-Ro's birthday. Really? Thank you. Yuan immediately smiled. This is the least I can do for you. Just let me know when you plan on stopping by. White Lotus smiled back. Great. Yuan proceeded to tell her the date of Yu-Ro's birthday. Sometime later he asked her, since we're already here, why don't we eat something? It'll be my treat. Sure. White Lotus nodded. Once a waiter approached their table, they began ordering their food. Due to their table's small size, Yuan decided to order a simple dish and some tea. While they waited for their food, Yuan asked, I have been wondering about how other players enjoy their time in. Can you tell me some of your experiences in this world? In return, I will tell you some of mine. Sure. White Lotus accepted without hesitation. After all, any information about Yuan's experience was incredibly valuable and highly sought after by the entire world. And for the next 20 minutes, White Lotus recalled some of her adventures with Yuan. Although they were not as grand and as exciting as Yuan's adventures, it was still interesting in its own way. Once the food was ready, they took a break from talking to eat and enjoy the music. Afterward, Yuan shared some of his earlier experiences with White Lotus. He spoke about how he'd fought a horde of monsters to protect Pang City. He spoke of his experience at the Dragon Essence Temple, and how he participated in a zither competition with a fellow disciple. He spoke of the mystic realm. He spoke about powerful entities known as demons, and how he'd visited a world of dragons that looked like humans. White Lotus was absolutely captivated by his wondrous experience, so much so that she'd completely lost track of time. In fact, she had a thrilled expression on her face the entire time, but she was too absorbed to be aware of her own expression. White Lotus wanted Yuan to continue his story forever, but the Wuyue Pavilion had a closing time, and it was reached before either of them were aware. Excuse me, esteemed guests. Wuyue Pavilion will be closing soon. However, if you wish to stay here and continue chatting, you are free to do so. The manager of the place approached them in a timid manner, as he was afraid to anger them by disturbing their peaceful atmosphere. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. It's already closing time? I'm sorry, Yuan. I didn't intend on taking up so much of your time. White Lotus said to him. It was enjoyable, so I don't mind. Yuan smiled. White Lotus nodded and said, let's continue this conversation another time. Here is my phone number. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call. She retrieved a piece of paper and started writing on it. Thank you. Yuan accepted the paper and memorized the number with a single glance. I know you're coming for Yu-Ro, but I look forward to your visit as well. Good night. White Lotus said to him before logging off. Yuan logged off shortly after. After logging off, White Lotus removed the helmet and proceeded to stare at her ceiling with a dazed look on her face. Yuan, huh? What an intriguing person. He's nothing like the rumors. A gentle smile appeared on her face. Then she realized something. I completely forgot. I wanted to ask him about his servants. What a blunder. She face-bombed herself upon realizing this. I wanted to see what a divine grade and ancient grade servant looked like, too. Damn it. Sometime later, once she calmed down, White Lotus got off the bed and walked to her computer. After logging into the computer, she opened up a private chat room and typed into the chat box. White Lotus, I just met with player Yuan in Cultivation Online. We chatted about our experience with the game over some food and tea. He's truly a unique person with many stories to tell. Within seconds of White Lotus' comment, dozens of people started typing in the chat. Blue Monster, no way. Really? Where did you meet him? Green Hat. Tell us what happened. Fiery Queen. How did you contact him? I also want to speak with him. However, White Lotus didn't respond to any of them. After reading some of the responses, she'd closed the chat room and walked away from her computer with a smug smile on her face. Chapter 907. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 53 seconds AM. Chapter 907. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 907. Teasing the legacy families. After White Lotus teased everyone in the chat room with the information that she'd met with player Yuan, hundreds of people began trying to reach out to White Lotus. They tried messaging her through emails, through the chat room, and even through her phone. When none of that worked, they started calling her and those around her. Miss Bai, they're calling us nonstop. Why don't you just respond to them? Her manager pleaded with her, as her phone has been blowing up nonstop for the past hour. Just turn off your phone like I did. White Lotus smiled. And then it will only be a matter of time before they start showing up at our doorstep. In fact, I am willing to bet that some of them are already on their way here. Her manager sighed. Let them come. They're always talking about player Yuan, so I am teasing them for a bit. You're so evil, Miss Bai. It'll only be for a bit. White Lotus shrugged. The following day, as expected, a crowd of people showed up in front of the Eternal Lotus's headquarters. Of course, they were all females. And because they were all from legacy families, the Eternal Lotuses couldn't just send them away. Miss Bai, here are the families that are currently outside. Her manager handed her a list of names. Oh, Fiery Queen is also here? White Lotus noticed her name at glance. Yes, and she said that she won't leave until you meet with her. The manager sighed. White Lotus smiled and said, bring her inside. Tell the others that I am only going to be speaking with Fiery Queen and nobody else. Right away. Sometime later, a beautiful young woman with long, wavy crimson hair appeared before White Lotus in her room. White Lotus, how dare you leave us hanging after dropping that bomb in the chat room yesterday? Do you have any idea how much ruckus your comment had caused? Fiery Queen began lecturing White Lotus the moment she entered the room. Ruckus? It was just a casual comment. Why would there be a ruckus? White Lotus acted ignorant. Why, you met with player Yuan, right? The mysterious player that shook the entire world with his impossible achievements. Everybody and their mother has been trying to contact him, but to no avail. Even a teaspoon of information on him is worth a fortune. You must tell me about your meeting with him. Why should I tell you, or anybody for that matter? It was a private conversation between the two of us. There's no need for the whole world to know about it. White Lotus shook her head. Bullshit. Then why did you mention it in the group chat? You could have kept the meeting to yourself. I just wanted to see your reactions, that's all. Fiery Queen was speechless. You're a really horrible person, you know that, right? White Lotus chuckled. Is that so? I was going to give you a chance to meet him, but since I am a horrible person. Wait. I was joking. You're not a horrible person. Please, I want to meet him, too. Fiery Queen began panicking. White Lotus then said, "If you're thinking about recruiting him, I suggest you give up on that idea." "Why? Did you already recruit him or something?" Fiery Queen frowned. "No, I didn't even try to recruit him." "Why not?" "You wouldn't understand it until you meet him. That man, he's untamable." White Lotus sighed. "You won't know until you try," Fiery Queen said. "Try?" White Lotus scoffed, and she continued, "When I first met him, I was barely able to keep my composure. I felt like a prey before its predator. It was a truly humbling experience. Even though he was very polite and humble, he has this overwhelming presence that cannot be masked." "So you're saying that he's a dangerous individual?" Fiery Queen raised her eyebrows. "Yes and no. He seems like a genuinely good person, and someone easy to befriend, but if you offend him, he'll become your worst nightmare. He's that sort of individual." White Lotus said, recalling her experience with Yuan. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Unfortunately, even if I trust you, this is not something we can decide on. It'll be our families that will make the final decision. Speaking of our families, has your family contacted you yet? Fiery Queen asked her. No, they haven't. Well, color me surprised. But it'll only be a matter of time. White Lotus said. What will you do if they want you to recruit him? Fiery Queen asked. Then I'll recruit him. She calmly said. Fiery Queen frowned and said, even after everything you just said? You're such a hypocrite. He's going to refuse anyways. The most important thing is the way we approach him, and that we don't push our luck. You knew this was going to happen before you even made that comment in the group chat yesterday. Why? Who knows? White Lotus shrugged. White Lotus suddenly noticed her private cell phone ringing. Speaking of the devil, looks like my family has finally decided to contact me, she said with a smile. If you don't mind, White Lotus looked at Fiery Queen. We're not done yet. I will be waiting outside. Fiery Queen said before going outside. White Lotus answered the phone and began speaking with her parents. Yes, it's true. No, not yet. I didn't want to rush things. Don't worry, I will have another chance to meet him soon. Yes, I know. I will do my best to recruit him. Sorry, but I promised him that I wouldn't reveal any information about our meeting yesterday. Even if it's my own family, there is a chance that it could be leaked outside. Unless you want to risk offending him and lose our chance to recruit him. I understand. Goodbye. White Lotus hung up many minutes later and sighed in relief. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Yuan logged into Cultivation Online and met up with those that will be ascending the stairway to heaven with him. Chapter 908. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 54 seconds AM. Chapter 908. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 908. Confronting the Gu family. Are you guys ready? Yuan asked Meishio and the others after returning to the starting city. I'm ready. Chu Liuxiang nodded. Same. Meishio said. Li Jinxi silently nodded. Great. Now then, which way is the stairway to heaven? Yuan asked his companions. Xiao Hua appeared the next moment and pointed in a certain direction. Since I don't want to take up too much of your time, let's fly there. Yuan said afterward. Fly. Li Jinxi raised her eyebrows. Yuan then used qi manifestation to wrap his spiritual energy around them before lifting them into the air. Although Meishio and Chu Liuxiang were used to the feeling of flight, this was Li Jinxi's first time flying in such a manner. Brother Yuan, do you need help? Xiao Hua asked him. It's fine. I have plenty of spiritual energy, he said. Thus, they began flying towards the stairway to heaven, unaware of the army waiting for them. Meanwhile, somewhere near the stairway to heaven, Patriarch Gu, there is still no sign of this Yuan. Do you think the information provided to us could be fake? It's already been a week since we've started camping out here. An elder of the Gu family said. No, that's not possible. The person who provided me this information is a reputable source. He wouldn't lie to me. Patriarch Gu said. And he continued. We'll wait here for a whole month if we have to. Stay vigilant. You never know when he'll show up. Yes. Meanwhile, inside the House of Riches, Gu Xiaolan was lying on the couch staring at the spirit jade Feng Yuxiang gave to her when someone knocked on her door. What is it? Gu Xiaolan stored the spirit jade away and turned to look at the door. Manager, have you heard? Patriarch Gu left the Gu family with over 1,000 experts and stationed themselves around the stairway to heaven. What? When did this happen? Gu Xiaolan frowned. About a week ago. Do you know why? No, I don't. After pondering for a moment, two figures suddenly appeared inside her head. Oh no, don't tell me it's because of them. Gu Xiaolan immediately sat up on the bed and retrieved a communication jade slip. Damn it. He's not picking up. What's that idiot doing? Gu Xiaolan rushed outside and said, I will be away for a bit. After leaving the House of Riches, Gu Xiaolan began flying towards the direction of the stairway to heaven. I really hope I won't be too late to stop their foolishness. She prayed as she flew. Why are there so many people here? Yuan wondered out loud as they approached the stairway to heaven and noticed the people at the bottom. Halt! A loud voice suddenly resounded, and a figure with the strength of a spirit grandmaster approached them a moment later. State your name. The spirit grandmaster demanded. Why do I have to give you my name? Yuan raised an eyebrow. Insolence. You're standing before the Gu family, one of 7 legacy families. I will not repeat myself. Identify yourselves. The spirit grandmaster repeated. Gu family, huh? Why are they out here? Are they waiting for us? For me? Yuan wondered inwardly. My name is Tianqinyu. Yuan calmly responded. He turned to look at the others and nodded his head. Chu Liuxiang, Mei Xiu, Li Jinxi, Xiao Hua. The ladies all introduced themselves. The spirit grandmaster looked at the list in his hand. When he couldn't see any of their names on it, he nodded and said, You may pass. Thank you. Yuan didn't say anything else and began flying away. However, he suddenly turned around and extended his hand, catching a sword that had been flying at him. Yuan glanced at the sword in his grasp before looking at the spirit grandmaster. What's the meaning of this? He asked. Do you really take me for a fool, Yuan? The spirit grandmaster sneered. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. How dare you attack Brother Yuan's back? Xiaohua's eyes flickered with killing intent. Wait, Xiaohua. Yuan beckoned her to stop. How did you know? He then asked the spirit grandmaster. The spirit grandmaster then retrieved a jade slip and activated it, which immediately projected Yuan's face. That looks like the disciple examination. Someone had captured my appearance through the broadcast, huh? Yuan quickly realized how the spirit grandmaster knew his true identity. The spirit grandmaster then retrieved a talisman and activated it. The talisman suddenly exploded with light, just like a firework. When the rest of the Gu family noticed the firework, they immediately started approaching their location. And within moments, hundreds of experts surrounded Yuan and his group. I was worried that you wouldn't come, bandit who dared to rob my Gu family. Patriarch Gu showed up shortly afterward. Yuan, what's going on here? Li Jinxi asked him. Don't worry, I will handle it. Feng Feng, Xiaohua, Yingying, I will leave them in your hands. Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying appeared the next moment, and formed a triangle around Mei Xiu and the others with Xiaohua. Where the hell did they come from? Wow, I have never seen so many jade beauties in one place before. The Gu family was shocked by Feng Yuxiang and Lan Yingying's sudden appearance. You called a whole army just to punish me? I'm flattered. Yuan said to Patriarch Gu. I admire your ability to stay calm in such a situation, so I am going to give you a way out. Hand over the treasures that you had stolen from my family, and I will let you leave with your life. However, you will no longer be a cultivator. Yuan glanced at Mei Xiu and the others. Although Tianqinyu has killed other cultivators before, they were all demon worshippers that have colluded with demons, so it doesn't make it any easier for Yuan to kill these people even with Tianqinyu's memories and experience. Furthermore, he didn't want Mei Xiu and the others to see him slaughtering other people. I don't know what you're talking about. I never stole anything from your family. What had happened was, I don't care about your side of the story. You have something that belongs to my family, and that's all it matters. Patriarch Gu interrupted. If you insist on opposing my Gu family, then you leave me no other choice. Since you stole something from me, it is only fair that I take something from you. Patriarch Gu pointed at the ladies behind him and spoke in a cold voice. After I kill you, I will take back my treasures along with your women, and make them my Gu family's slaves for the rest of their lives, and everyone here will have a chance to enjoy them. When Patriarch Gu's people heard his words, they immediately began shouting in excitement. Is that so? Yuan lowered his head and muttered in a low voice. A cold voice suddenly resounded in his head the next moment. Regardless if they are immortal or God, slaughter all that obstruct your path. Let your bloodlust consume the heavens and all those within it. Kill these ants that dares to covet your women. Let them know true fear. When Yuan heard the evil god's voice, his eyes suddenly turned blood red, and his body began oozing with killing intent so intense that it was possible to see with one's bare eyes. Why, young master? Feng Yuxiang swallowed nervously when she noticed red mist filled with killing intent being discharged from Yuan's body, resembling the miasma at the Demon's Valley, and it gave her a sensation of dread and despair that not even demons could achieve. Brother Yuan. Xiaohua's body trembled in fear when she sensed Yuan's killing intent. This is the second time that she's seen him in such a state. The first time she saw it, she was reminded of her father, and it was even more so this time, almost as though her father was standing in Yuan's place right now. Watch out. There's something off about him. Patriarch Gu immediately warned the others, and this was before Yuan's killing intent reached him. Once he felt Yuan's killing intent, it made his blood turn cold, and it felt like his body had turned into an ice statue. When the others with a lower cultivation sensed Yuan's killing intent, they started screaming with madness, almost as though they'd lost their mind or they were actively being tortured. The entire area quickly became filled with shrieks and people screaming, almost as though they'd suddenly entered the deepest parts of hell. Chapter 909. Published at 7th of May, 2022, 5:25 and 54 seconds AM. Chapter 909. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 909. Evil God's Killing Intent, Aya. Somebody, kill me. End this pain. Help me, mommy. Hundreds of cultivators screamed like their lives depended on it, almost as though they were being tortured. It didn't matter if they were spirit grandmasters or stone-cold killers. None of them were spared. The only ones that could barely maintain their sanity were those at Spirit Lord and above. What is going on? Li Jinsi looked at the chaos around them with a terrified face. Have they gone mad? Did Yuan do this to them? Chu Liuxiang swallowed nervously. Of course, the only ones that weren't affected by the evil god's killing intent were Meishio and the others. This killing intent reminds me of our training at the Qi family, but countless times stronger. Meishio mumbled in a dazed voice as she stared at Yuan's figure from behind. What happened to you, Yuan? Meishio sighed inwardly, feeling worried about Yuan's condition. Eventually, the red mist released by Yuan covered a distance of 10 miles, and all greenery within his miasma would die, turning the scenery into that of something similar to an apocalypse. The magical beasts and animals all ran for their lives, and those that weren't fast enough to escape the miasma would fall unconscious with their longevity slowly being consumed by their intense fear. The cultivators with the Gu family eventually started harming themselves and those around them. They scratched their faces until it was covered in blood. Some of them even dug out their own eyeballs. The scene was becoming more and more gruesome with every passing second. After snapping out of her daze, Feng Yuxiang created a wall of flame around Meishio and the others so they wouldn't be able to see the scene any longer. Patriarch Gu also snapped out of his daze and shouted, "Everyone, stop him. We cannot allow this to go on any further." All of the spirit lords that were still sane immediately began throwing everything they had at Yuan. Although they were all scared to death and wanted to turn around and run, nobody there dared to turn their backs to Yuan. "Disappear from my sight." Yuan muttered in a cold voice when he noticed their movements. There were a total of 13 spirit lords in the Gu family, so Yuan created 12 clones of the Starry Abyss and attacked them with flying dagger. Despite their small size, the Starry Abyss pierced through the air with tremendous force that could easily crush even a peak spirit lord. Like 13 shooting stars, the Starry Abyss soared through the sky until they reached their targets. Ah! More screams resounded as 10 out of 13 spirit lords perished from Yuan's mortal rank technique. As for the remaining 3 spirit lords, they were barely able to escape with their lives, but none of them managed to escape unharmed, and 2 of them were even crippled in the process. Impossible! How can a single person possess such power? He's only a spirit lord too. Patriarch Gu exclaimed. It's over. I have offended a monster that we couldn't afford to offend. And for what? For those idiots in the lower heaven? Patriarch Gu lost all desire to retaliate, and just hovered in the air with a blank look on his face. He'd completely given up. Young master, please have mercy. A voice suddenly resounded. Patriarch Gu subconsciously turned to the sound. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Gu Xiaolan? What are you doing here? He asked her. However, Gu Xiaolan ignored Patriarch Gu and flew past him, until she was in front of Yuan. She immediately kowtowed in the air and begged. Please, have mercy. This is all caused by a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding, you say? Yuan narrowed his eyes at her. Yes. Our Gu family is at fault here. We will bear all responsibility for what happened here today, she said. Yuan suddenly felt someone tugging his clothes from behind. He turned around to see Xiaohua. She had her head lowered, almost as though she was too afraid to look at him, and her petite body was shivering uncontrollably. Be brother Yuan. Xiaohua is afraid, she mumbled in a low voice. Yuan's eyes widened and he immediately stopped releasing the evil god's killing intent. However, the red miasma continued to linger for a while before slowly disappearing. He placed his hand on her head and sighed. I'm sorry, Xiaohua. I lost control of my emotions just now and scared you. Xiaohua lifted her head to see a gentle smile on his face. She wiped the tears around her eyes and smiled. It's okay. Yuan nodded, and he proceeded to look at the chaos he's caused with his killing intent alone. Even though the miasma was quickly clearing, the cultivators from the Gu family weren't calming down, and they continued to harm each other. Yuan turned to look at Gu Xiaolan and Patriarch Gu. Their faces were pale white, and Patriarch Gu looked especially bad, almost as though he'd painted his face with white paint. I won't apologize for what happened here today. If you'd given me a chance to explain myself without threatening harm to my friends, things wouldn't have gotten this bad. I deeply apologize for my behavior and rashness. Please spare my Gu family. I was the one who spoke about harming your friends. Take my life and spare the others. Yuan narrowed his eyes at Patriarch Gu and silently pondered. Just like the Gu family from the lower heavens, I will give you a chance. Because of your Gu family, my friends have suffered greatly today, and Xiaohua even shed tears. I demand compensation. Leave behind all of your treasures and scram. If you walk from this place with even a single treasure on your body, I will finish what I started. Thank you for your mercy. Patriarch Gu wasted no time taking out all of his spatial rings and storage pouches before handing them to Yuan. You don't need to give me anything, Yuan said to Gu Xiaolan, who was also taking out her treasures. Thank you. Gu Xiaolan bowed to him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.